sportsman, when someone's doing shooting, do you breathe out or hold your breath or what? You know, like, I don't know, like staying still. Anyway, I managed to stay still for that. Oh, that microphone's better positioning. Okay, no, I'm happy because I'm always fucking around with this bloody positioning of this thing versus where the two phones are. And I've definitely found through trial and error. I mean, look, if I was any cop at this, Lee. Oh, by the way, Lee. Very fond of you, Lee. And that's not to say. You see, look, there I go, panicking. You know, panic. Oh no! Quickly say sorry to everybody. Say sorry to everybody. You might offend someone. No, Lee, like you sent a brilliant picture of your setup with those two screens on the. God, I should know the word for it. Well, it's effectively a boom arm, a stand, but your articulated stand. And I know a little bit about stands. I mean, there's one company that I'm dead keen on called OC White, O.C. White, and some good English companies that do very good. I mean, look, yeah, I'll just take this off. Look, oh no, I won't because it's but you know what I mean. The actual stands that hold your TV monitors, and whether it's like the stand holding this mic now. If I just like one of these things, do you know what I mean? There you go. I've just unplugged it. That's all. But so you've got a boom arm here. There you go. I mean, that was actually dirt cheap. That one. That I just can't get back in there. Let me just plug it back in again. I've got to plug it in now. That's better. Yeah, I'd be looking at the stands. Exhale on the shot. Yeah, I should. Because I had a very good photographer when I was modelling in London between 1995. No, that's not true. It was summer '94 through till I don't know, probably late 01, 02. But that's 7 years worth of modelling, and every photographer told me, to do a thing. The best advice was to actually the best advice I was ever given when I was modelling. And it's ridiculous to believe that I could model, but we're not talking 20 years ago, aren't we? More than 20 years ago now. And funnily enough, I was always complimented on my hair. Brilliant. That to be unconscious of the camera, whether it be a click camera or a filming camera, any lens, any bloody any of this stuff with someone doing that, and even doing the high end versus low end photo shoots, they come incredibly close. We the audience don't actually, until you see one, don't know how bloody close cameras are. Although these days, because to get the best out of any performance, if that can be unconscious, if that can be with the camera or the camera crew or anything being as far away as possible, that's better. Anyway, it's very boring. But yeah, you think I'd remember, but I've just forgotten this stuff, And you're right, Lee, it is the exhalation, because exhalation is a form of relaxation, isn't it? And although one might be still under a held breath. Anyway, that was something. I remember being taught very early days with the personal training about the, like if you're weight training of any description, whether it's a bar, a dumbbell, a cable machine, whatever, your body weight, all 5 types of progressive overload, and at any time under tension, as it were, that you should inhale under eccentric. See, I'm forgetting the eccentric, which is obviously the lowering, and the concentric, which is the pushing, or the negative and the positive. Of course, the negative being the eccentric, lowering, the positive being the concentric, lifting or pushing, and which equates to, you know, and I laugh because the reality is, watch a weightlifter, watch a professional weightlifter, watch a strong man, watch an Olympic lifter, and watch what they don't do. You will not see any mofo on the world stage, or even at some crappy local council, municipal, you know, spit and sawdust gym of any standard actually doing this under load. They don't, because as you've just proven, Lee, and you're right, and it's taught in breathing, it's taught in meditation, it's taught in photography, that when you exhale is not creating pressure. The exhalation is the rib cage, the diaphragm. You know, it's this. You know, and although it can promote stillness, the reality is that the greatest point of performance, for want of a better word, happens right here. There, that was it, you know, that massive, that, you know, like, again, I'm no pro boxer, or I'm not a pro MMA guy, but I can assure you that when someone's taking a punch to the stomach, they are not going, and when someone is pushing out a bench press or a deadlift, they are not going, or a squat, they are not going, they're not exhaling, they are swallowing a load of oxygen and do it now. It's true. So anyway, the greatest pressure is created when you hold your breath. There you go. Pro tip. Right. Yeah, that's why you see nosebleeds. That's why you see, you know, I'm sure if you said to Eddie Hall, you know, with the world's deadlift record, so Eddie, did you exhale like we're all taught on the positive, which is the concentric lifting phase of the movement, you know, when you actually stood up with the heaviest deadlift on the planet? Did you actually go, no, you didn't, mate, you were like, one hell. So I rest my case. But yes, all textbooks, all online courses, all PTs are taught inhalation on the eccentric and exhalation on the concentric contraction, which we know in the real world is completely incorrect. Anyway, yeah, right, let's chat, Lee, let's chat. I've got YouTubers going. I'm going to get Captain Spruce on. Big love to Nin, if you're still there, brother. Just thinking about you recently, Nin. What I wanted to say, sorry, Lee, was just to apologise to Lee for, because you sent that photograph and like a complete douche, I didn't actually respond to the photograph. Like, man, I love your setup, I love your monitors, I love the fact that you've got this, you know, the oh yeah, let's get you on. I just realised I've got the other phone in shot, which is deeply amateurish. Good evening.
Good evening.
How are
you doing?
You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Bit tired today.
Are you?
But
why?
It's been a long couple of days. I had my jab on the Thursday.
Second?
And yeah, second jab. So that's all done now.
Go on.
And today, me and my daughter started doing some training together. So she's got a sports day coming up in about 3 to 4 weeks, and she's been entered for the 200 metre race. So I've done a bit of research on best way to train for it. So we started doing that together today. So we're going to do that every other day.
And what sort is it, a relay or a what? No,
it's straight
it's a
200
dash.
metres.
Sorry, it's a dash, isn't it? So
Yeah.
200 metres, 100 metres. See, I'm so out of touch with this. What is considered a good time?
I'm not even sure. Apparently, her time though at school managed to get her picked because it's something that she really didn't want to do.
Oh, did she not?
But she got picked, and apparently her teachers said, like, we think you can be really good at this. So I think she was fine with it until she was told that a male teacher was entering the girls' race. And now it's just like, yeah, I want to kick his ass sort of thing. So I said, I will per train.
I mean, is that okay? Can they do that?
I don't think it's anything legal, so it's literally just a bit of fun ultimately, right? So I'm sure if it was like Olympic sort of judged, then there'd be a big issue, but I don't think there's any issues there at the moment.
And how old's your daughter?
She's quick though, I'll give her that.
Is she?
She's 12.
God.
Yeah.
Do you look at her?
We've been doing like some sprints down the park this afternoon, and I've not sprinted for many a year, so it's been interesting.
Is it quite shocking when you give it a go? Is it quite shocking?
Yeah, but as I said to my daughter, I said I don't know what sort of shapes I'll be in, but it's better to do it with someone than not. And let's face it could be the next phase of my transformation.
Absolutely, Lee. It's very explosive, you know. God, to be honest with you, mate, I'm a complete believer in. I know it's an overused word, but on someone's journey to reshape their body, I think all of it, you know what I mean? Whether it's a walk or a run or a swim or whatever, man, you know, because it's, like you say, sprinting is a much more explosive, you know what I mean? It's completely changing the tempo, isn't it?
Well, I mean, what I have learned is, I mean, my legs are shot at the moment. I'm laying on the sofa, like, proper suffering. But my recovery time was almost instant. Like, I'm so proud of how fast my body recovers.
Good. That's good.
And because we're looking to train speed and endurance, the idea of what we're doing is doing reps. It's exactly the same as weightlifting, apart from you're doing like shorter distance to start with, but explosive. Do that for like 3 reps. Then you make the distance further for 3 reps. Right. And then you're doing the 200 for 3 reps. By the time we got to the last rep, though, both of us was like, yeah, we're done. She's getting cramps. I've just had enough, and it's pissing down with rain. So it was just like, we'll come back in a couple of days. But the idea is we're going to do every other day. So the days I'm not training with her, I'm going to be down the gym.
Okay.
And vice versa. And the plan is to do that 6 days a week. So it's like running, weightlifting, and then on Sunday I'm just going to have a day off.
Yes, absolutely. That's very interesting because the nature of 200 meters is that's a, you know, it's an explosive event, isn't it? It's
Certainly.
You know, it's anything that's 100 or 2. Well, just from watching it on the telly as a kid, you know, just that's about. So I'm interested, man. When you say reps, do you do like, so you and your daughter will do a 200-meter dash, and then you'll just chill out for a few minutes and then go again, or?
So today, because I found a workout regime, so it's almost like one day on for this, and then the next training day will be slightly different. So you'll have your warm-up the same way as you would do with weightlifting, just to make sure everything's nice, stretched and warm. And then you'd start off with, say, 100 to 120 metres. Then you put it up to about 150 to 160 metres. Right. And then on the 3rd set, you'll then do the 200.
Got you.
So you're doing 9 runs.
Right.
9 sprints.
Right, I'm with you.
With like 2-minute rest periods in between.
Right. Interesting.
So it's quite intense. It really is intense. I mean, obviously when people get to a certain age, their legs go to the point where obviously they can run and they can call it a sprint, but it's not as fast as when you're in, like, say, your late teens, early 20s.
Gotcha. Yeah. It's
That's why footballers ultimately retire as well, because obviously their legs go.
Yes. It's really what a great subject, because I recently was watching a podcast about what you said, really, when people go. What is peak performance? When does someone peak? And whether it be swimming or surfing or tennis or boxing or sprinting, football, and depending on there are some outliers. There are some individuals that could be 38, 40, 42 and still able to kick a 25-year-old's ass, and they're obviously the exception to the rule. There are people in various sports, whether we see boxing or UFC or surfing, or that you're thinking, oh my God, you're 38, 42 and you actually kick in the arse. A Floyd Mayweather, whoever, someone that's literally still able to aerobically and anaerobically compete with someone 20 years their junior. But generally speaking, as you say, gymnastics springs to mind. I saw a great documentary a couple of weeks ago on a Russian, she's from the Ukraine, called Nina Komenchenko, who was, and I'm sure I'm killing her last name, but she was the first person ever to get a perfect 10 score in the Olympics gymnastics. They do all the high bars and all the flips and stuff. I think it's Komenchenko, Nina Komenchenko, and beautiful girl. But certainly when I was a kid, she was at the Olympic Games and she defected from Russia. But the point being, she, once she was hitting 19, 20 years of age, that was old, and I was like, what? And her coaches were saying, her US and USSR, so Russian and American coaches were saying, yes, they start them at 3, 4 years of age, and they're so bendy, and they literally get these young boys and girls to they're made out of rubber. And then by the time they're 18, 19, 21, they're like, yeah, you're quite mature now.
It's the maturity as well. Obviously, it adjusts the weight in terms of how weight sits on the human body.
Yes.
So when you're doing stuff like the bar work and that, it's going to distort how you move on the bars.
That's true. Yeah, where it goes on your body, right? Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah, I'd imagine males can probably do it for a bit longer, because obviously you're genetically stronger.
Yes.
So it almost goes to your advantage, where obviously when you start putting on like proper lean muscle and strength, you're then using the weight as a momentum, where obviously females are then stop making more fattier tissues, which is obviously isn't as strong as muscle.
No.
Therefore, it's having a bit of a negative effect in terms of what it's actually doing on the bar.
You're right, and that was even said in the documentary. They were very careful about saying it, but what they were referring to was a 16-year-old boy will get bigger pecs, and bigger, delts, and actual useful muscle, because he's going through adolescence and puberty and just starting to become a man. But a 16, 17, 18-year-old girl growing boobs, what they were politely saying in the documentary is breasts on a girl serve no performance purpose, because they're there for reproduction, they're there for fatty tissue to store milk for babies, obviously, and that's why they were saying a 15-year-old girl is better than an 18-year-old girl with boobs, and I thought, wow, I'd never thought of that, but it's true. As you say, on the bars or flying through the air, it's actually a negative advantage to have boobs.
Of course, but then if you go into like a sport of boxing and that, I suppose it's a bit of a deterrent almost, You're harder to reach, because you can't step in.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Swings and roundabouts depending on what sport you're in.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot of gymnasts, they were saying, got boob jobs afterwards, or they let their natural production of estrogen, sort of flourish and perhaps find a partner and have babies, etc. Once they retired at 22, it still sounds so young to me. But Lee, I've been recently watching just because I'm curious, more and more. I'd like your thoughts on this. Actually, I've been watching more and more YouTube videos of just general performance now, and I don't think I'm imagining it. I don't think I am, but I am seeing 16, 17, 18, 19-year-old kids, male and female, across the board, do things that certainly when I was that age, we were like, no way. I mean, whether it be climbing buildings or free running, the parkour, people doing free running, jumping across buildings, skateboarding, surfing, whatever, right? Just a broad, sprinting. They're seeing, maybe it's the internet, maybe it's the population, maybe it's the gene pool, the genetics are getting broader. I literally don't know, but I don't remember. Again, maybe it's because the internet lets us see more of a global population. I don't know, but just what kids can do these days. They're so able.
So I've watched a stand-up comedy show with Adam Sandler last year.
Right.
And he got a joke in it saying when he was a kid, he always wanted to learn how to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
One of the things he wanted to learn that he never really got to grips with was a backflip.
Right. Yeah, that totally appeals to us, doesn't it?
And he goes, I have been able to learn everything I've put my mind to, whether it was a second language, whether it was, I don't know, like a joke, being confident, standing up and talking to people, but I could never learn to do the backflip.
Right.
And that's because I never knew where to start practicing.
Yeah, how do you learn that? Like, you
but
can find
this is
that
the thing.
Crystal Palace.
Like everything on the internet, things spread like wildfire.
Right.
But if you go to the right place, you can learn.
Right.
So if you know how to ride a skateboard and I don't, for example,
right,
you may have done a YouTube video and I can then relate to the YouTube video, see how you teach it.
Yep.
Bang, I've got an online teacher that's not cost me a dime.
Right.
Therefore, I've got a base of where I can start from, And this is where I think people are doing more advanced.
I totally
Whereas
agree.
when we were kids, it's like, if you knew somebody that could do something, brilliant, that's where you learn from.
Yes.
But if you didn't, but you've heard about it, it's almost, that never happened unless you see it for yourself.
Exactly. You've nailed it. Because you've nailed it. That when I was young, obviously skateboarding was my thing, and because we didn't have the internet and we didn't have that vision, so the greatest trick in my day, we're talking 1988, I was 16, was going on your skateboard and ollieing onto a handrail, which now fucking 8-year-olds can do that. And I was 16 and I was the only person in Dorset that could do it in 1988. Going along and just popping an ollie on the skateboard and, landing on your trucks or board sliding a handrail down some stairs was a very frightening and perilous thing to do. But you're right, we never saw it.
No.
And I think if it's a backflip or, like you say, YouTube, like your children, 11, 12, can see something on YouTube like a backflip or a very fast 200-meter sprint or, ollieing on a skateboard down some stairs and go, oh, right, that's doable, I can do that. And because it's visual, because they can see, it's conceivably doable. And I think the relationship between seeing and doing is very strong and very legit. So we, like you said, if we can't see it, we can't conceive it. And when we see
That's
it,
right.
you believe you can do it. And that's how the rapid evolution of learning new stuff is happening now, more so than in my day.
It's not even about if you see it, you believe it. If you see it, you can break it down on how to sort of go about learning to do it. So you can go, okay, so this is going to hurt learning to do this. However,
you're going to slam,
I can start here and just get used to the motion or the said movement or the amount of power to put into something. Whatever the case is, you can break it down into stages and then start building it together. Without that sort of process to start with, you've got nothing to, do you know what I mean? And I think this is where the internet, again, is such a brilliant tool.
Totally agree.
And this is also why kids today, and even adults, I mean, we've got world-renowned chefs living in their homes that have never cooked for anybody other than their families because we watch videos on how people cook specific meals.
Absolutely, Lee. Absolutely. Yeah. You see, God, this is a real can of worms, this subject. And but it's good though. It's good though, mate, because look, like, I mean, my memories of being in Croydon, okay, my memories are, I know for a fact, and I'll be interested if you agree or not, that you could drive your car around Croydon, and whether it be at a bus stop or on some school playing fields at various schools, or Crystal Palace or wherever, or a football field or a recreational ground, find literally a good few dozen, well, probably much more than that actually, in the Croydon postcode of kids, white and black. I'm going to say predominantly black because of the demographic and the athletic ability. We do know that generally speaking, black boys, whether it be in the gym or whatever, just have that genetic ability. We see this on the bodybuilding stage. But they could all do a backflip. And like you say, with Adam Sandler, even if I took Lee age 16 and Justin age 16, doing a backflip's a fucking scary thing. I mean, you're talking potentially breaking your neck, potentially landing on your head and doing a human scorpion and paralyzing yourself. But as you say, you can watch it on YouTube, you could go around Croydon, you could find dozens of kids that could do it. It was such a rare thing in my day, but they're more common now. It's
of course.
I find it really interesting as to why. Like you say, you can break it down. You could be on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube, and your children could be, I don't know, waiting for the school bus or whatever, and pause it on their phones and go, oh yeah, I can break this trick down. I can see what they're doing.
So let me give you a demonstration of stuff that I've learned as a kid. Like I say, I used to do judo.
Right. Yeah.
And the first thing you learn in judo is learning how to fall.
Yes, a forward roll. I remember that. Yeah.
We spent weeks upon weeks, months upon months, doing the same drills over and over again.
Basically,
rolling, just literally running around the mat, just doing laps, and whatever the instructor said, whether it was fall backwards, you just fall backwards and slam both arms out.
Yeah.
He says roll forward, you'd roll forward and you'd sort of roll over with one arm going forward,
that's it.
and then rolling over the arm to the elbow to the shoulder, and then back up onto your feet.
Yeah.
And it'd just be drills.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
But it's the same principle.
Yeah.
It's the same principle, repetitive, until it becomes natural. Once it becomes natural, you then start putting it all together.
Yeah. God, that's so true. I mean, just listening to you say that, it's not a very good name, but we had a teacher called Mr. Saville. I'm deadly serious. Not Jimmy Savile, but his name was Mr. David.
Hopefully not related.
No. And I'm deadly serious though. His name was David Saville, Saville. David Saville, and he was a badminton teacher and a judo. He was like a decent whatever belt he was, and I was like 11. And this teacher I remember he had really big calf muscles, and he taught me judo throws and taught me badminton. You know, he was a very good all-rounder. And judo, you know, I was like 10, 11. And as you say, I remember that running around the mats at school, and all the drills. And like you say, fall backwards, slam, you know, arms out, and then literally running. And he'd say, tuck your chin in, get your head down, do the, you know, and do this forward roll, you know, and just get your head under so you don't break your neck. And we all did it. You know, I was so frightened at first, but we all did it. We all did it. It was great. It's great. He's a good guy.
Do you think now this is what?
I mean, that was
this is probably 28 years down the line for me,
right?
And 38 years down the line for yourself.
Yeah.
Yet we still know it as if it happened yesterday.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
So, you know, it just goes to show that them drills still work today and hold true.
And I wish I could.
I can't remember my name some days, but I remember that.
Well, it's weird. It's weird, Lee. It's like, I mean, so many things. I mean, this is what, I mean, what are your thoughts on teaching now? Because, like, I remember, we're talking 1980, which makes me 8. I had a math teacher called Mrs. Burt, and she taught me my times table, and they still are in my head now. 9 9's 81, 7 8's 56. You know, 12 12's 144. You know, it won't leave my head. It's still there from 41 years ago. It's weird, man.
See, learning for me was very different. I left primary school feeling dumb as shit. Like, I'm not even messing about. Nothing would stick in my head, and it's because of how I learned. I had then the time out of school for 2 years, where I'd be going off to work and things, but I would be doing like homeschooling, but obviously doing it for myself. But instead of learning how other people was learning, so how you would learn the times table, I would be looking for patterns instead of doing like the rhyming of it.
Right. Yes, because that's what we taught, the rhyming. Yeah.
But for me, I saw patterns rather than hearing.
So you were
and that's how it stuck with me. Yeah. So I would look at something and then go, right, so how am I going to remember this? And I was doing some spelling tests with my son a couple of days ago. And don't ask me what the words were, because that was a couple of days ago. I slept since then. But I was trying to say, because he had the homework but forgot about it, and it was sitting in his bag, and the day he remembered was the day he had the test. The idea was he was meant to be doing it for over 4 days and then have the test.
Right.
And I said to him, if you remember, every single word in this test has an O-U-S sound in it.
Right.
Everything else you should be able to guess there or thereabouts. So even if you get it wrong, you're only going to be slightly off, sort of thing.
Okay, interesting.
So that's what I do. I always look for patterns in everything I do.
Right. And they're visual patterns for you. You have to see it.
Yeah, I'm very much a visual learner.
Visual learner, right? Interesting.
You can't tell me things and me retain it. I can't read it and me retain it. I have to see it. I have to do it.
Got you. That's interesting.
You know?
That's interesting. And that's not just on a page.
But then
that could be in the gym if Doug showed you a movement or something as well. Same thing, yeah?
Yeah. This is why I love learning in the gym, because everything is very visual and practical.
It is, yeah, it is.
But if I was to read it in a book, I wouldn't retain it.
Got you.
But then this is part of me being dyslexic.
Right. So if a bench press was written down, you know, lie on the bench, grab the bar, it wouldn't go in.
No.
If someone showed you a bench, got you. Well, that's interesting, Lee, because, like, let's say, you know, whoever, Andy or Doug or even me, anyone showed you a bench press, you know, you address the bench, you lie on your back, you look at the, you know, you do bench press. That's a quicker visual learn than if you said, especially with my bloody language, if you said, Justin, write down how to bench press, you know, you'd be getting sentences off me, which would be a far slower way of you learning by reading it off a bloody page or a screen than it would be with a physical visual demo.
But although that method wouldn't work with me, it would probably work with a huge chunk of the world audience.
Yeah, it probably would. Because that, That's interesting. So what about home learning? What about all the schooling through COVID and through Zoom teaching and, you know, teachers?
So I was quite fortunate because when Alex was in year 1 going into year 2, we took him out of school for just over a year and I homeschooled him anyway.
Right. How old's Alex now?
He's 8 now, so he starts year 4 in September.
Right, right.
But he wasn't, so he has some hang-ups of his own. He's a very switched on, clever little boy. But the beginning part of primary school, he had some social hang-ups where he couldn't identify who his friends were.
Right, right.
Everybody, like, you'd walk in and everyone would be excited to see him, but he just wouldn't sort of register it, and it was very upsetting to see as a father.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember saying to him, like, what have you done today? Who have you played with? Blah, blah, blah. And he just broke down in tears and goes, I don't know, Dad. Like, I don't know who, etc., etc. And it was really tough to take. And we spoke to the school and they was oblivious to what was going on, which then pissed me off. So I went, you know what, I ain't having this. I pulled him out of school and started teaching him. Because it was affecting his learning.
Right.
Like when school he couldn't count to 10, he was struggling with a lot of like basic language skills. And bear in mind that I'm not the strongest of learners.
Right, right.
But within a couple of days I had that boy counting into 100s, thousands, 100,000s, millions.
Wow. Because
of how I taught myself.
Right, right.
With the whole visual learning.
Yes.
You know? And I told him, rather than teach him, yeah, this is what this number is and this is the order you do it in, I cut all that middle ground out and went, right, so this is how I see things and this is how I build things up so I have an understanding of X, Y, and Z.
Right.
And it just clicked with him. So he cut out so much middle ground and caught straight back up and then surpassed.
Really?
When he went back to school again, the back end of year 2, his first week back, bear in mind he'd been off for about 13, 14 months.
Right.
He had a test. He had like SATs tests.
Oh, really?
And the teacher was like, so Alex doesn't have to do them because he's obviously not been in. I went, he's been learning. I went, put him in for the tests. He smashed all of them.
Did he? Did he now?
Yeah, he was like, he was in the top bracket of the class. So he done really well.
And that must have helped his confidence go up.
Of course.
Yes.
But it was a reflection as well, like on us as parents, knowing that we'd done right by our son.
Yes. And did you teach him the same pattern recognition learning that works for you? Did that, do you know what I mean? Like the way you...
That's the only way I could teach him because I can't translate what obviously the schools are doing because it didn't... It's like learning, looking at a bit of paper and going, I don't understand that.
Yeah. That's really interesting because I mean, I've not taken an IQ test for many years, and I said to my brother recently, I suspect I'd score pretty low, because I know myself, just because I like language and I like words and I find words quite sexy, I'm a bit sad like that. I love the sound of words and pronouncing words and finding out words' meanings. I love language, although I don't know any languages. But I love the English language. I'm shit. If you wrote down, Johnny went to a bus stop and, you know, those math solving problems, you know, how many miles did Johnny cover from London to Reading, or, you know, I'm shit at working out problems. I'm shit at seeing things on a page and going, don't see that. I don't read it. I don't recognise it as what it is. And I often make things far too complicated, like even jokes.
See, for me, that's my strength. I can do that.
You can do all that, yeah.
If you give me a list of simple instructions, though, I have to read it 10, 15 times before I can even do the first 3 steps.
Yeah.
So, it's just swings and roundabouts.
It is. I'm the same with books, man. I can't, like, reading a book, just reading a book, whether it was at school doing homework. You know, if you give me an actual book, you know, a paperback novel, and just say read it, it will take me months. I'll read the same paragraph 3, 4, 5 times. And that's why
Yeah,
now,
and then fall asleep.
yeah, it's weird, man. Yeah. Quickest way to fall asleep now is to read a book. Literally, turn off the gadgets, turn off the phone. If I want to get to sleep, actually read words on a page, and I will fall asleep in minutes. But now, if I want to read a book, I listen to it on Audible. I just play it on the phone, or put the headphones in, and I have a person speak the story. It's really weird, man.
What I find amusing is the fact that I can read social media all day long,
Right.
but I can't read a book.
Yeah, I'm the same. Yeah, you can absorb bullet points and bits of news, like you say, social media. Do you think, Lee, that the very nature of because I've got a theory, I don't want to sound sinister, but it's almost as if the way social media and the news and just information generally is fed to us now, our diet of, whether you just go onto Google News or whatever, it's very short, isn't it? It's all very clickbaity, it's very brief, Logan Paul, Floyd Mayweather, and then it will be, new Google phone, or Trump this, or Boris that, or COVID this. Everything's very, very short. There's no... It's a headline society, isn't it now?
Right, so you ready to have your mind blown?
Go on, go for it.
So, when the internet come about, obviously it was threatening to take over things like
media.
The mail service, newspapers, etc.
Absolutely.
Now, it never took over the mail service, because the mail service went, okay, we've got to look at how we do business. We're going to offer faster mail, more regular, more faster in terms of, like, say, more parcels, etc. Yeah, brilliant. They survived. That's still about. Papers although that's still about, they died a death.
They're big time, big struggling. Yeah.
However, they have shaped how the internet is used.
God, you're right.
Now you look at what you just said about the clickbait stuff. It is literally a front of a newspaper.
It is, right?
It's literally a front of a newspaper.
Yeah.
So, Logan Paul slanders, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Or what? I need to buy that newspaper for 15p so I can read it.
Yeah. And none of us read the article, we just look at the headline, don't we? And go on to the next headline.
Right.
Holy shit.
But because it's there on your screen, you're going to click it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
I do.
But it's literally the same method as what the newspapers used to use all them years ago.
So, that's so true. My God, mate, that's frightening. So, like, as a teenager, looking at The Sun, like page 3, big boobs, whatever, that was attractive because it was short, it was impactful, it was like, wow, so-and-so celebrity drunk, thrown out of nightclub, fight, violence, or Mike Tyson versus Frank Bruno, whatever, just, crazy headlines. And like now, literally, if I go on my iPad or grab my phone, everything's a slogan, everything's a headline. Joe Rogan calls out so and so, CNN, or Joe Biden throws a fit at reporter. Boris Johnson, COVID-19 lockdown. Everything is like that. And I never read an article, Leon. I never actually go, oh, I'm going to get on that article and read all of it. No, I'll look at the headline.
You can't anyway.
3 lines.
Every single time you click on that article, you're going to be spammed with adverts.
Yes.
You're going to have to sign up to this or agree to that.
Subscribe.
It's too much messing about.
Yes.
And even when you do it and you do get past all the above bullshit, the articles normally ain't even legit anyway.
I know.
And it states that at the beginning, so you go, what was the point?
Yes. I mean, Lee, I get suckered. I mean, I don't know what's wrong with me. You'd think I'd learn, right? Like every day, and I mean every day, because it won't surprise you, I look at news about the Pixel 6 or the Pixel 6 Pro. So today there were loads of new cases leaked, because often a phone case, if manufacturers are making a phone case now, which they are 3 months out, we've got a new Google coming out September, October, so they're going to start manufacturing cases. Now, I was looking at stuff that was a leak. Oh shit, what have I got? 25 seconds remaining, so I'll do the usual. We'll keep talking and then I'll come back. But yeah, and I go down to the end of the article about this new Pixel 6 Pro, and it's a fucking 90-day, 3-month-old article from literally back in February or something. I'm like, oh shit, I know this. Right, I've got 3 seconds and I'll come back, okay? 2 seconds. Right, I'll come back. Right, let's get this going. Share. 375 parts. One. Who's steering the conversation? Okay. And we're back live. Let's get Lee back into having a good chat with my friend Lee, talking about the nature of, this is actually perfect because I wanted tonight to talk about, there he is. I wanted tonight to talk about, brilliant, the conversation on social media and who is in charge of conversation. Do we create conversation or are we dictated to by, hello mate, you're right. This is perfect, Lee. Nice to have you back. This is perfect, this conversation, because what I really wanted to talk about tonight, my greatest, the single biggest cock up I do with these live streams is to try and steer it too much. I mean, I have, you know, it would be different if I wasn't live. If I wasn't live and was doing simple edits, and well, I say simple, I don't know how to edit it. But if I was doing, if you know what I mean, I don't know how to edit yet. But if I was doing literally a piece to camera about a certain subject and then upload that, fine. But I'm glad this conversation is going the direction it's going in, because that's what I wanted to really discuss was, again, everything that we're receiving, everything that we're getting on our screens, you know, it's almost who's, as you, well, what you've actually hinted on the idea. Do you think that what we now call mainstream media, legacy media, the old media, those tabloids, those newspapers, are they the same people that have now, through a hand-me-down process, are dictating modern, not just clickbait, but once it's, we know it's very clickbaity, but as you've said, the very nature of things, you don't get a whole article, you don't get a full story, you simply get headlines. All of us have become, like, I'm guilty, I will tweet something, I've done it, I will tweet something based on a headline. Now, that's not me being I'm not investigating the truth. You know, Dr. Fauci, COVID-19, vaccine, whatever, right? And I'll be like, yeah, fuck you, man. You know, and it's like, so I'm guilty, I've done that.
So, a lot of it would be due to algorithm itself and how that works.
Interesting.
So the whole, like,
let's wait for that, gentleman.
How it relates to newspapers, for example, yeah? We click on things because of how we've always looked at news itself. I.e., once upon a time, newspapers was the way of getting the news and telly/radio.
Yeah.
So it's always come across to us like that.
Yes.
But you don't have to look for it anymore. But the way that we get it on individual devices is literally used by our own search engines to start with. So if you've got a clean device, no accounts linked to it, and you start using it doesn't know what to show you. So it's going to go with a percentage of what the top subjects are in the world. It's going to go with, say, location, because that's generally something that's going to be switched on a device.
Right, because I always send my location status.
And even if it's not a pinpoint location, it will definitely go by region.
Yes.
You know, you can't log into any device anymore without telling it at least what country you're in.
True. It's true.
You know, and that's what I mean. So everything's going to be dealt by some form of algorithm or another.
This is so interesting because...
And then the more you use it, it's going to get to know you.
Right.
The more it's then going to start spouting the things it thinks you want to see.
Yes.
And the things you're more likely to click on.
Yes. Because, I mean...
At which point they then start generating money because everything from that point is going to be attached with adverts.
This is so interesting. This is really worth exploring this conversation because I have, as you know, I'm a fan of Google. You know, so I use, let's face it, Alphabet, Google. So we've got Alphabet, Google, Android. You know, we know Alphabet, who obviously own Google, that own Android, that are Android, and I use iOS as well. Through repetition, that bloody algorithm, right? That bloody algorithm. I've often taken a device, whether it be a Pixel or an iPhone, you know, whatever, and completely done a factory reset, a total factory reset on purpose. So if I'm using a launcher, a third-party launcher like Nova Launcher, or, you know, like I'll intentionally not use Safari on my Apple iOS device. You know, even if I use Chrome or whatever, we know it's virtually impossible if you're using any search engine, you know, Google, Chrome, or look at apps like bloody Facebook. They come baked in on devices. You know, whether you buy a Samsung or a OnePlus or a Huawei, you know, they come on the devices as part of the actual phone manufacturer's hardware creation deal. It's like the software bloat is, well, you're going to have Facebook on there whether you want it or not, mate. And, you know, then you have to go deep to remove it because the fucking Mark Zuckerberg universe wants to third-party app track you across. So if I search for Star Wars, it's going to start, you know, if I search for the new Pixel 6 Pro or the i13 Pro Max or whatever, it, you know, whether I'm looking at Star Wars or phones or skateboarding or UFC or whatever, it notices what I'm doing, even with location services switched off, and I always toggle it off. It still knows my behaviour, my tastes, and my searches. Scary.
Problem you have is you're always, unless you're prepared to hard reset absolutely everything, every individual account, every single device, including like things like IP address.
Right.
Everything is going to be tracking the same thing.
God damn, Lee.
And unless you're able to reset everything, which you're not, let's be honest, because you're not going to create a new account for, say, Google every time you log on to a device.
No, I'm not.
Yeah?
No.
So even hard resetting your physical devices, as soon as they've reset, you're going to be logging straight back into your account so you can access the shit you want to access. So
which I do.
In that respect, you've not actually
achieved anything.
No, exactly that.
God damn it.
So they've got us by the balls, in all honesty.
They have.
And it's something I don't like, I've got to be honest. I do like to be a little bit incognito, and depending on what I'm doing, I have my own ways around that.
Right.
But it does mean logging out of certain things, like Google being the main one. Because I run everything through Google. Everything through Google.
Likewise. And therein lies the frustration, my friend, because, like, I'm the first to admit, I've explored other, you know, search engines, DuckDuckGo or Firefox or Brave, you know, other. There's three. I've just named three. There you go. Brave, Firefox, DuckDuckGo, but they're not as quick as Chrome and or Google. That they're not, you know. And I've tried it incognito mode on Google. I'm thinking, who are you kidding, Justin? Because I actually like Google's software. I like the way Android works, and yeah, you're right. I revert back to, and I've tried the other way. I've tried going with a blank slate, and I've lasted about a day, and then I go back to just using Google. Just, you know.
The thing is, if you've even just got a Gmail account,
right? Yeah, which we all do.
Everything you think, right, you can't go on a website anymore and interact with that website properly without registration.
Surrendering your email, correct.
So as soon as you've done that, and 9 times out of 10 you're going to be using a Google account, you think, right, originally, the most original email addresses was going to be either Yahoo or AOL.
Yeah, it was, wasn't it? It was, yeah.
Don't exist anymore.
No.
And straight after that, Hotmail.
That's right. I remember. I'm still justinhouse@hotmail.co.uk. You know, I never use it. It's completely dead. Everything I've got now is just, well, I abbreviate Justin House, obviously date of birth, so I shrink it down to jewhouse72@gmail.com. You know, I've got nothing to hide. I'm open book. But yeah, everything, whether it be my Apple password, whether it be my Google, you know. You know, even my brother said to me recently, you know, everything I do is so unremarkable. You know, like the nastiest shit on me would be my deep dives into, God, I don't even look at porn anymore. You know what I mean? It's so boring now. Do you know what I do? It's like literally surfing videos, skateboarding videos, or looking at what's the new Pixel going to be like. You know what I mean? That's literally. But it's.
But I mean, you go through my search engine today, especially today. Yeah, I've looked at stuff to do with Twitch. I've looked at things to do with my game because I should be getting news about my next season this Thursday.
Right.
And it's just all geek related, and then stuff to do with, like, say, the running stuff for like this afternoon. You know, it's nothing exciting.
It's all innocent stuff, really.
But it's me. Do you know what I mean? And if it was relatable to anybody else, I'd want to know why. Because my search engine and my searches are very unique to me.
Yes.
You know, and one month won't ever look like the next month.
That's interesting. Actually, that's a question. Do you now? You've mentioned your for a variety of reasons, but because it works for you and it's your personality. You know, you're a pattern guy. Do you, from month to month, have set patterns in your internet behaviour, or do you deliberately try and break your own patterns? Does that make sense? A bit of a weird question.
So I have my same patterns,
right,
to a degree.
Right.
So, but then through the day, so like the first thing in the morning, the first thing I always do, and I've been doing this since internet was a thing, was check the football news.
Oh, really?
The only thing that's changed in that respect is the source that I use now.
The what, sorry?
The source, like from where I go to go and get the news. Yeah.
Okay.
Evening, Dougie. Hope you're well.
Yeah, there's Dougie. How you doing, Dougie? Oh, and
so
that
once upon a time,
Krypton Fitness chap as well. I recognise him from Metro. He's a nice chap. Yeah, go on.
He was the original person that took me under his wing when I was at my biggest.
What's his job? I recognised him immediately. I remember him from when I used to do some evening shifts at Metro. Really nice chap, actually. But I don't know his proper name, as it were. But
amazing guy, Darren. Really
nice guy.
Decent human being.
Yeah. I remember him from the evenings. He was always super respectful and polite, and just, you know what I mean. He was always a nice guy. When I used to do the later shifts at Metro on my own, you know, I was like, fuck, I'm the only white boy here. Do you know what I mean? It's quite funny. But yeah, they're a good bunch. You know. Yeah. So go on.
Yeah. No. So used to go on this website called teamtalk.com.
Right. This is for the actual football source.
Then they really enjoyed the website. There was also really good place for having banter with other fans.
Right.
But then it got bought out by a company, and it wasn't really the same. It went more newspaperish,
right.
which weren't really for me.
Right.
And then I just started Sky Sports News after that.
Oh, really?
And I do that every single morning. Go on the football websites, and then I'll just read about the football. And I've been doing that since I was a kid.
On that note, what couldn't you be without? If I said to you, Lee, I'm going to, it's a bit of a shitty question, but, you know, I'm going to confiscate your phone or confiscate your internet. There's literally 3 or 4 things that you can use, and everything would be taken away. What could you not be without? What could you literally be like, oh my God, I've got to check that out each day?
You mean website-wise?
Yeah, searches and websites and your daily go-tos. Yeah, look, see, Doug said Doug has, you see, like you and Doug are definitely, look, Sky Sports, so your footy, knowing where you're at with, you know, whether it be a boxing fight, a football match, do you know what I mean? What certain things.
So for me, it's for me, I think it'd be easier to tell you the 4 things I would keep. You can keep the rest of it.
What's X?
It's like, I could, first things first, I'd keep the Sky Sports news.
Right.
I'd want me Twitter.
Right, yeah, I use Twitter, yeah.
Would want me Instagram.
Right, yeah, agreed.
And
5 things then, 5 things. That's 3 so far, that's 3.
And then probably me YouTube. Everything else, like, I'm not that fussed about.
Right.
You know, I could honestly get by on the internet world with just them things.
Exactly. Now, it's interesting you should admit that, because I was travelling back from the gym today, and I had, you know, when you have that...
Ex-hamster.
What's that? I mean, what is that, ex-hamster? What is that?
When you log off, Google it.
Oh, really? Okay. All right. I'll leave it at that. I'm going to make a mental... I'm going to get a post-it note. Hang on. I'm going to get a post-it note and make a note of this. Ex-hamster. Ex-hamster. Right. So I've now live. Right. So I'm going to ex-hamster. It's on there. Okay. So I won't forget it now. Thank you, Dougie. Dirty bastard. I'm sure it's disgusting. Because it's Dougie. I mean, but I was driving back from the gym today, and I thought, actually, I'm probably got 5 myself. I would actually drop Netflix. I'll drop Amazon Prime. I would probably drop the news. But like I say, I couldn't be without YouTube, because YouTube is basically everything. I would definitely drop. I'd even probably let Twitter go. I'd go with Instagram. If I had to choose one social media source, just one. And I remember Andrew Grossett. I remember Andrew Grossett back in 2016 on the steps of Metro saying to me, "Now, Justin, this is Instagram." I was like, "What?" I shit you not, because Andrew Grossett and Mark and everyone else down the gym was like full on Instagram. You know, Simeon Panda, of course. You know, he's done incredibly well for himself. Good for him. And they were all like Instagram guys. I was like, Insta what? You know, and I was so far behind. And but now, yeah, I go YouTube, Instagram, and I would need, because on YouTube I can find out all I want to do about my phones. You know, so whether it's, because I can get so much from YouTube. But yeah, I'd be the same. I'd actually just want my Google for general, you know, Gmail and search engine, and just keeping ahead of the phone situation and just the news. Yeah, I think I'd be just YouTube and Instagram, and I'm not even, see, this is where I'm such a geek, because I don't even fall into the category of having to have Sky Sports or BT Sports. I would just, because I'm never been, it's weird, the football thing, because I know you guys are into your football, and I should be, because I was mental for football from the ages of 5 to about 15. That decade with like AFC Bournemouth, our local, which are shit, right? But AFC Bournemouth, our local club, I used to have season tickets with my dad, and we'd be in the stands like freezing our asses off just cheering on AFC Bournemouth. So and I don't know where that went. It just, I got into skateboarding and other things, but so I was really into football. And I can still remember the names of the people playing in like 1982, you know. So when I was 10. But yeah, I'd use YouTube for everything and just Google and Instagram, and pretty much that'd be about it for me. I think I'd let everything else go, you know.
Yeah, I mean, if I was allowed 5, I would then probably take, it's more of an app, but it does use the internet, called TTV, so that way I'm sort of cheating and getting everything in one hit.
Oh, really?
And for free. So.
What's it called?
It's a program called TTV, and you can get everything illegally.
So TTV?
Yeah, it's in cup of tea.
Okay. So that way, TTV. Okay. I shall research that. I mean, even now, just looking down at my iPad, all my notifications are Google and, okay, there's, well, being an iPad, it's going to have bloody Apple News on it, which I don't even subscribe to. It's on the thing, isn't it? And YouTube, you know. Yeah, it's... I actually considered today, just thought, well, you know, because I actually subscribe to YouTube Prime, whatever it is, Premium or whatever it is. It's like $11.95 a month. I thought actually I would let Amazon Prime go and Netflix go and just do all my catching up on YouTube. Although Netflix is good for sort of, you know, serial dramas or whatever, you know, if you're watching a series. What's he got? Here we go. Pornhub, YouTube, Netflix, and XN. What's that first one? XN. What is it? XN. My eyesight. XNKX or XN. Do you know that one?
That is XNXX, I believe.
XNXX. You see, Doug is still sexually lively, and of course I'm just dead in that department. So. Although whenever I see the word hamster, I think of Richard Gere inserting a hamster, or as rumours had it, Richard Gere. Richard Gere had a. Do you remember that old rumour? Richard Gere had a. This was going about probably 20 years ago. It was, yeah, about 2000. Richard Gere and a hamster, or Richard Gere and a gerbil with a tube down his arse. That was the rumour. That was the rumour. You know, you hear these Hollywood stories and you wonder, you know, how many A-list celebrities have inserted various things or something. Just...
See, I'm pretty sure this is the reason when I was growing up, I was watching like dodgy cartoons on the internet from this website called joecartoon.com.
Oh, really?
And there'd be like hamsters and gerbils being tortured. Like as cartoons, not in real life.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But it was quite messy.
I mean, do you know, here's the thing. An old school friend of mine recently sent me, well, actually, it was a Facebook message, and you know, I'm not active on Facebook. I've just got like a holding page on Facebook. But he sent me a hello, how are you message, and the point he made was quite relevant. Because of my age, I'm 49, and he said, remember the old comedies that, you know, people like Kenny Everett and stuff like that, that a lot of the things in the 80s that would now be considered just, you can't say that, you can't say these jokes, you can't say these things. Do you think we're getting on this subject about what our tastes are, what we watch, the media, what we now call the legacy media, the mainstream media? I mean, one of the greatest things that sort of hit me the last few days, the great Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan recently, in a podcast with a political speaker called Kyle Kalinske. He's quite a young lad, and I've watched a lot of Kyle Kalinski's stuff. He's a political commentator, bit of a geek, but a likeable guy, very knowledgeable guy, very good on politics. And he was on Rogan's podcast. Long story short, they spoke about a CNN newsreader called Brian Stelter, and he's a prick. And what a lot of the American media and our media have gone for is to be very pro Joe Biden, very pro English Labour, American Democratic Party, etc., etc. So a lot of these reporters are into, if they're English, into Labour, if they're American, into Democrats, okay? Very, very left-leaning. And Joe Rogan said to Kyle Kalinske on the podcast about Brian Stelter, you're supposed to be a journalist, motherfucker. You know, he actually had a go, which is brilliant. The point is, this made national, global news. This is all over the internet now. You go online now, I promise you, if you go on to Google right now, or YouTube, or any form of news, and just put in Joe Rogan, it'll be the mainstream media are now speaking about Joe Rogan attacks mainstream media. And the reality is, you've got a David and Goliath there. We know that podcasters and live streamers are not mainstream media. Mainstream media, BBC, ITV, Channel 4, CNN, ABC, MSNBC, Fox News, the list goes on. It's shifting, Lee, and I'm happy about this.
But I was about to say that, is it shifting or shifted? Because you're talking like they are mainstream medias rather than they were.
Right, and they're dying. Obviously, what I'm doing, for example, like, because obviously, you know, I'm now in the streaming world, yes.
and you've been in the streaming world for well over a year now.
Oh yeah, over a year now, yeah.
We're not big in by any stretch, but you're talking about Joe Rogan, who is one of, if not the biggest name.
He is the biggest
in the streaming world.
Yep. End of.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's bust into a new sphere. Fair play.
That's bigger than your polls, because although they are YouTube sensations, or however you want to call them, they don't do the whole live thing and pull in the numbers as what Joe Rogan does when he is live.
Correct. He's now mentioned by the US president, Lee. That's the point. If Joe Rogan speaks out now, Joe Biden, the president, the fucking POTUS, responds to Joe Rogan now. Holy shit. And Doug, who's in this comment, Doug, when I was living in Addiscombe, Croydon, I was like, Joe, I vaguely, you know, he put me onto the Joe Rogan experience. Doug put me in 2011, 10 years ago, when Joe Rogan was only a year or two into his podcast career. Doug put me onto that. And now look, so in a decade, that's not a long time, Lee, in a decade, Rogan's become as big as mainstream news, mentioned by presidents now. And Prince Harry.
But this is what people seem to forget. Like, they seem to think that because they was once a big thing, say like your TV networks and specific programs, they've just remember they're living in yesterday.
Correct.
It's the people that make things big, that make things relevant.
Yes.
Because if we're not clicking, if we're not reading, if we're not talking about it, it's no longer relevant.
Right. Do you think that, see like what we're doing now, just human to human, we're not bullshitting each other and we're not bullshitting the internet. I think, and I really believe this, I really believe this, like with all of my, not being funny, with all of my heart, I really believe this. I think the establishment, you know, whether it's BBC, ITV, Channel 4 or the American channels, I think they're going to fall. I think they're going to actually lose this, and I think streamers, podcasters, people that tell the truth, it might take us 10 more years, it probably will, but we're winning. I'm serious.
Yeah, I mean, sooner or later the money's going to run out. I mean, so Dougie will be able to relate to this, when, like, say, Saturday afternoon football was on at 3 o'clock, unless you had a ticket, the only way you would know about the game was either via radio or watching, like, say, Sky Sports News, where you'd have ex-footballers watching the games and talking about it. And they would go from, so these are the news from around the grounds, and then you'd hear some, like, commentators start going apeshit for someone scored. Oh, quickly, we've got to go over to blah, 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 blah. What's the latest?
Yeah.
Oh, well, George, this and this has just happened. But now we have YouTubers watching the games, talking about it, being sponsored by all the gambling companies.
Yes.
So they're taking money from your Sky Sports, your BT Sports, BBC, whoever else is doing it.
Yes.
They're now getting the money
Yes.
because they're getting in a bigger audience.
Correct.
Because they can go and talk about specific games that people want to go and listen to. They're not going to be bugged by adverts.
Right.
They're going to get the content that they want.
Now you're talking. Lee.
You know, and they can be more real as well because they're not going to be sort of licensed and held back by, language, for example, or I can't think of other examples.
But just the go on, sorry.
But just that alone, sorry, just say that to me, boy. That's sweet.
Oh.
No, love you.
Oh, bless him.
But just that alone is going to be more entertaining because you're going to get someone that can talk more real without having the restrictions of a network behind you saying,
there you go.
By the way, you can't talk about this, or
that's what I wanted you to say.
You're not allowed to say that.
Yeah.
You know,
the old earpiece
that's going
right?
to be. It's going to be more entertaining.
Correct.
You know, I mean, so early doors when you started this, it's like, I've got to watch my language. But you're a lot more relaxed now, and that doesn't mean that you're a potty mouth. But if something makes you feel a certain way and you express that by using a certain type of language, then more power to you because it's more true as to how you're feeling.
All right.
Whereas if you're feeling that's pissed me off and you go, well, that isn't good, is it? It doesn't make good viewing.
No. I'm going to admit something now that I've never done on this, and I'm just going to tell you straight. When I started, number one, I was very nervous, and as a nervous guy, and obviously in those early days it was Facebook. What was I doing? I was doing Facebook and Instagram, but mostly Facebook, and I was very, very potty-mouthed, almost swearing too much. And long story short, the company that I'm company director of, even though I'm not currently there because of the whole COVID thing, it was my grandfather's and then my father's firm. So we're 82 years old. It's an auctioneering firm. And the auctioneer that's been there for 40 plus years, he called me and he said, Justin, I've seen your thing on Facebook. He said, you can't talk like that. You can't, because it's going to upset people that deal with the firm. So I changed my language and I ended up deleting 50 episodes. 50. So, yeah. And it was a really tricky conversation, and I did apologise, and I did permanently delete 50 episodes, because even the small audience that I've got in this small town of Bournemouth, the reputation of House and Son, it was always House and Son, and I was the son, but now I'm the house because my granddad and my father are dead, and I've got no children, so I am the house of House and Son now. And we're an established auctioneering firm. In fact, we're the only auction house in the BH1 Bournemouth postcode. So I'm very proud of that, but I was also very aware that I didn't want to compromise the firm with my foul language. So I changed.
Okay.
So that's the truth. There you go.
So it's for me, I kind of feel good and bad about what you just said, if I'm being honest, because I think I'm known to have a potty mouth, and in certain aspects, as Kerry walks in and gives me a look, like, really, this is new.
Blokes, we do naturally amongst ourselves, like buck shit, bollocks. We do naturally get excited and swear a bit.
I think so. For me, a potty mouth is someone that just really just rattles it off with every single other word.
True.
I think if it's used in context,
there you go.
It can be very powerful as well.
And funny, yes.
Yeah, it can be funny, but I think funny and powerful can still go together. I mean, something that makes you roar out like gut-wrenchingly painful laughing.
Exactly.
What an amazing feeling, and it's powerful.
Exactly.
But a lot of people will hear one curse word and that'll be them done forever, and you're like, wow, like, what made you so righteous almost?
Right, this is it.
And what isn't acceptable today would have been acceptable 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But what wasn't acceptable then is acceptable now, and it's just like you can't keep up with that.
Correct.
You know?
This is so truly.
So ultimately, it's just language.
Yeah, exactly.
And don't get me wrong, I appreciate that it can upset people. I get that. But what happened to sticks and stones to break my bones and all that?
Exactly, Lee. We've become, as a society, we've become very, I think, too delicate. And, you know, here we go. Let me give you an example. A well-known motivational speaker, Tony Robbins, right? So most people have heard of Tony Robbins. I mean, he's about 6'8", you know, he's 3 inches taller than me. Very powerful, motivational American speaker, you know, big jawline, white teeth. Tony Robbins, you too can be what you know, all that stuff, right? Motivational stuff. Very good. But he swears on stage and he talks to millions, and he advised Bill Clinton, he advised Tony Blair, he advised Princess Diana, Michael Jackson, Tom Cruise, Oprah Winfrey, a who's who in celebrity culture. So Tony Robbins is, if you just Google the name Tony Robbins, it's like the #1 global motivational speaker. And people pay $5,000 or 5,000 quid for like Andrew Grossett will definitely know all about Tony Robbins. And, he's a very well-known, like I say, people will spend $5,000 for a basic ticket to go to one of his shows, one of his talks. And the point I'm making is he will swear in front of thousands of people. And I'm thinking, hang on, I'm talking to a small handful of people and I've got to watch my language. And for fear of bringing disrepute or shame upon the firm, it's my firm intentions with the firm to get it to 100 years old. I've not been there for a year, but it's a very good independent auction house. We sell antiques every fortnight, every other Tuesday, so every fortnight for the last 82 years, been going since 1943, or no, 47. Anyway, been going for a long time. Anyway, whatever. But we're in our 82nd year now, and like I said, my grandfather started this. So, if I watch a live stream, if I watch a Twitch streamer, and I've seen various streamers, and literally, as you said, every other word is either dropping a fuck or the C word, right? And I've seen some conversations and people they literally can't speak without going fuck. I'm like, oh my god, that's actually too much for even me, that you can't even construct a sentence. But as you've said, if we were talking about a UFC fight or an amazing goal scored in a football game, we'd be like, oh my god, do you fucking see that? That was fucking amazing. We do, because that's how we talk. That's how humans talk. You wouldn't go, oh my goodness, Lee, wasn't that fantastic? Don't you think, Lee? Yes, Dougie, that was really good, don't you? No, we don't talk like that. No one does.
But out of them two sentences you just rallied off, yeah? What sounds more genuine? The oh golly gosh,
yeah,
or oh fuck me, that was amazing.
Yeah,
what sounds more genuine?
The one with the fuck in it, exactly. Yeah, it does. Yeah,
And I don't think that is obsessive swearing. No. It's come from such a pure place. It's a feeling that's just come out and been translated into words.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Lee, that even the Queen, if she stubs her toe, right, or slammed her finger in a door, she'd go, oh fuck, because that's what humans do. You know, she wouldn't go, oh dear, I've hurt my finger, So, and that's the bloody Queen. So yeah, you're right. It's more. I think in the early days, I was probably super sweary because I know I was very nervous, and I used to, I don't know, whatever. But whatever I did, excuse the pun, I swore to never do it again. And I thought, right, I don't need to swear every other word, but at the same time, if I am having a discussion with Lee, if I'm talking, if I'm expressing myself, and I end up swearing, so be it. So be it. Because otherwise I'm lying.
Yeah. And don't you think it's funny as well that you put it down to more being nervous than just being someone with a potty mouth?
Correct. And it was nerves, Lee. It was nerves. I used to, I look back on those first the first 100 live streams, and I was deeply nervous. I mean, I've still got a long way to go. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, basically what you said. And we shouldn't have to curate our language and edit ourselves, and because that's what the bloody mainstream media are doing. As you say, the reason why I think there's going to be, well, you've said it, there's going to be a shift from people doing this, which is broadcasting, we are broadcasting, versus the BBC or Channel 4, which you've got some dickhead on a sofa or at a news desk with, they've got a bloody earpiece in, and they've got the show producer going, pushing more on that, and they're doing an interview, and you can tell they're being spoken.
Literally, that earpiece is literally a step away from having a hand up their arse.
Correct.
Controlling their facial expressions. Do you know what I mean? It is literally that one step away.
Correct. 100%. And you can see it in interviews. How many conversations have you and I seen online, on mainstream TV, the legacy media, where you can see the interviewer is not listening to the person, they're not responding to questions, but they've got specific questions in their bloody earpiece, and they're just hammering the person, hammering them with a certain point.
Yeah.
It's bullshit. It's not genuine.
And you know what? I think BBC are probably the worst for that. I mean,
Agree.
I'm not one for terrestrial television anyway,
No.
but I mean, if the telly was on in the morning and the BBC was on, I would generally flip it over to ITV, especially when Piers Morgan was a thing.
Thank you.
Because you could see that man had his own brain now.
Thank you.
I don't agree with everything the man says, but at least he thinks for himself, and he'll speak his mind.
Correct.
And he'll speak his mind without dropping F-bombs everywhere.
Yes.
So fair play to him, because I don't think I could do it.
No, do you know what? I couldn't agree more with you. I don't care if it's not popular to say this, because, and I've had a few serious tweet conversations on Twitter about defending Piers Morgan, because I've said, whether, because he's a Marmite character, whether you love him or loathe him, I'm very much on his side, because yes, he couldn't drop F-bombs and couldn't swear, but at the very least, he spoke his mind. Now, again, whether you agree with his opinion doesn't matter, because the conversation shouldn't be about his opinion. The mere fact that he was one of the last people on mainstream telly that had the balls to give his opinion and to actually promote free speech. And I don't care how good looking Susanna Reid, his co-host, is, but you can clearly see that in her earpiece, she represents the political left. So when that piece of shit, I'll say it, Meghan Markle, I'm sorry, her and Harry, you want to keep your royal title, but you want to do multi-million-dollar deals with Netflix and Spotify, do one. It's you can't have your cake and eat it. We want to be the royals, but then again, we're going to slag off our entire royal family, accuse daddy and brother of being racist, and she's played the race card. I can't stand it when people play the victim card. Like, do we really think for 1 second that Meghan Markle is actually suffering, is actually oppressed, and is the victim of racism? I doubt it.
Well, strongly about it. I mean, it's not something that I get into. Me and Danny sort of touched on this the other day. Like, I wouldn't say I was a royalist.
No.
I knew I was born the same year as William.
Okay.
So in that respect, you know, I've sort of seen the same sort of life that he's seen. You know, obviously from a different perspective. By no stretch of the imagination, it was from a different perspective.
Period, though.
But we are from the same era. But other than that, I'm one of them guys that keeps himself to himself. Do you know what I mean? I always have been. Whatever she says, whatever she doesn't say, the fact that people are talking make it relevant.
Well,
going back to the previous conversation, and I don't want her to be relevant, so I choose not to engage with what she says or doesn't say.
It's good, Lee. That's very good, dude. I mean, maybe I'm showing my age, but I remember I was living in Chiswick, for example, August 97. I was living in Chiswick when Diana died or was killed or whatever we want to say.
That was sad.
Yeah, that was, and I remember literally waking up on that Sunday morning because I was out all night. You know, I was doing the doors, and obviously very much involved in the London nightclub scene then. Point being, I remember feeling a sense of actual sadness, and I just thought, okay, this is pretty bad actually. This is really. Long story short, I acknowledge and I respect and I appreciate that, you know, Great Britain and the royal family brings tourism, and I know even amongst my American friends, you know, they're like, oh, if you met the Queen, you know, are you close to... I'm like, no, Bournemouth isn't close to London. I don't really see... And even when I lived in London, you know what I mean, that they don't get it because they think, oh,
let's be honest,
Buckingham Palace.
There's more Americans that are royalists than English people.
There are. You're 100% right. You're 100% right.
It's crazy.
You know, and look, the Tower of London, Buckingham Palace, all of us, whether you've done it on a bus or a taxi or a car, if you've ever gone up London, you've driven down around that area where the palace is, you do sort of go, oh wow, you know, but it's not what it used to be. The monarchy isn't what it was. You know, I was alive when the Queen's Silver Jubilee happened in 1975. I was 3, and I actually remember, or was it 77? Anyway, 75 or 77, but we had street parties, okay? So whatever I was, 3 or 5, I do remember the street parties where, again, we only had BBC One, BBC Two and ITV. There wasn't even Channel 4. There wasn't even, you know, we had 3 channels, B1, B2 and ITV. So I remember those days, and when Channel 4 came, you know, we actually had a 4th button on the TV to press. It was huge. So my point is, I remember this country when, you know, the Queen was very relevant, Charles and Di was huge, William and Harry were babies, and yes, everyone's door was unlocked. They really were in the neighbourhood. You literally could go 7 or 8 houses down, knock on the door and go, oh, hey Joan, hey Bob, you know, you literally could. And that was my childhood in Bournemouth. But the point is, the country has changed, the population has changed, and the royals have changed. And I look at what Harry's doing, the way he's under her thumb, if you like, and I think, don't be a dick, mate. And, you know, I know it's a very heated conversation because people are very pro or very against, you know. And I just look at it and think, I'm not into it, but at the same time, you two, Meghan and Harry, are doing very well, you know, whatever it is, Oprah Winfrey or whatever. Just don't bullshit. Just don't bullshit. And I get a feeling that they are just bullshitting.
It's actually very clever, though, how it's playing out.
It's true, mate.
Now,
that's true.
And it's very clever for the royal family as a whole, including.
It's a good point.
So, it's making the royal family relevant.
Well, it's making us all talk about it. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
mate. You're right.
Exactly that, and it's making us talk about it on every single platform the world has to offer.
Yeah, even Prince Philip's funeral, right? We're like, oh look, that's again, it's more talk, isn't it?
Yeah, but I think things like that, or weddings and whatever, is when it comes to the royal family, they've always been big occasions.
Oh yeah, huge.
Or big deals. Do you know what I mean? So I mean, Prince Philip. Let's be honest. Everyone thought he was he should have been dead so many times. Like how he kept sort of springing back and
I know.
then managing to offend somebody or just be him. I mean, that fella. If he could have had a TV show, I would have tuned in because he was hilarious.
Couldn't agree more. Because he was. Go on.
He could have had nothing to do with the royal family, full stop. But just how he conducted himself. The fella was amusing.
He was.
And it mainly because he spoke his mind.
Exactly. And that's the beauty of him. And I've got a friend down here in Dorset, that's just a old female friend, and she was a massive fan. And I said, why are you so into Prince Philip? And she said, because he doesn't give a fuck. He's politically incorrect. And as you say, he would have had a brilliant chat show if he'd done it in his 60s or 70s, because he was the bloke that would go to Africa, see a Zulu, a black man, and go, oh, aren't your lips funny? Oh no, he was that bloke, that would say something so inappropriate that you're like, oh mate, what are you saying? And of course nowadays, oh, you're a racist. But like you say, he was funny because of that.
But you know what, I think not so much the whole like what you just said there, but a lot of the times he would just literally say what you wish you had the bollocks to come out and say.
True.
And obviously in the position he's in, he should never have been able to say them things, but he did. And he didn't give a fuck.
No.
Like, literally did not care.
Okay.
And not care to the point of, oh, I don't care if I offend you. But for him, he lived in a world where, again, sticks and stones break your bones.
Correct.
And it's like, well, they're words.
Well, let's talk
this is how
that.
I'm expressing myself.
Yeah, and let's, you mentioned that phrase, Lee, sticks and stones, and I remembered, I mean, really, you said earlier on about how clearly we remember our judo lessons at school, or, specific school teachers teaching you, whatever, times table or whatever. And I remember that clearly, I mean, really clearly, being 5. We're talking 1977, we're talking like Star Wars, yeah? And I remember my English teacher saying that expression, sticks, and we were told to repeat it. We as a class of 25, 28, 30 kids, we had to say it out loud as a I don't know, we were almost doing a rap, sticks and stones will break my bones, but words will never, and we had to do it. And it worked. It worked, because when someone came to me and said, oh House, you're whatever, I was geeky, or I had spots, or I had a funny hairdo, or, I learned that it was just words. And of course now, I think we've regressed. I think we're in danger now, and especially, I'm interested in asking you this, because you're a father with children at this precious age, 8 and 11, you've got children in the age where you and I are at school, and that was make or break for us with bullying. Are we gonna,
of course,
do you know what I mean? I don't even need to ask you, I just know that the likes of you and I would have had those days of going to school of real dread, real fear, because you were either going to get physically smashed up or at the very least verbally abused. And it was just, even talking about it now, 39 years later, it gives me goosebumps, because I remember it. It was fucking frightening getting on the school bus knowing I was moments away from getting it again. It's weird, man. Kids are different now.
This is one thing I do like about the educational system, and I can't say it's like that all above everywhere, because I have a few friends that have children that are being bullied.
Right.
But my kids especially have it's very tight-knit community in terms of how their classrooms are run.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
You know, I mean, I shaved my boy's hair the other week, like literally a week ago, and it was like a 0.
Really?
Dad, what have you done? I went, trust me, boy. I said, in a couple of days, it will start growing through and it'll be nice and even.
Look a nice
I said, trust me, trust the method.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially
Week later on, it's nice and neat now. But he had the shit ripped out of him for his first day back at school when I'd done it. Yeah. Oh my God, look at you. But it was more the shock thing. I mean, the dude had like big, massive hair.
Oh, did he?
And I've gone, whoom, gone.
Did he want it or did you want it, or was it a bit of both?
I was asked to do it, and I said, well, if I do it, I'm going to do it properly.
So you just like open clippers, that was it? Just
you could, yeah. He could have gone to the barbers.
Yeah.
His mum wanted me to do it, he wanted me to do it, so I done it.
Fair play. And as you
They're telling me that he's hot, so I whipped it off.
Fair play. But as you say, Lee, especially at his age, you know, he's going to be inside 7 days, 10 days, that'll grow back to a lovely length, full, you know, because their hairline's down here, isn't it? They're lucky, you know, and it will look a lovely length when it's just all like a nice bit of felt, you know. I love that. That's interesting,
so,
man.
Dougie's asked you a question here.
Oh, is he? What have I missed?
Justin,
oh, God, I've missed loads.
When you went to America as an Englishman, did you feel that made you different from a tourist from other countries?
Right.
And when you go abroad, I will admit, I feel I'm more received with a higher regard because I'm English.
Right, number one, let me apologise for missing all these comments, because it's only, all I'll say is when Lee and I are talking, or when anyone's talking, comments tend to be faded right down to the bottom. So that's why both myself and Lee have missed these, so I do apologise. Doug's been commenting, so something for a good time. They're here for a long time, not a good time. Let me wave to this person there. And right, the question about yes, to answer the question, yes, and I'd also be a liar if I said I didn't cash in on that. So to that, let me be very specific. I first landed in America January 2000, although I'd done a tester, if you like, a 2-week tester. I don't know why it was Jan. Anyway, the point is, I first landed in Jan 97, did 2 weeks on my own in LA just to see if I could hack it, and then I went back in Jan 2000 on my own and stayed there for 3 years. The minute, and this is a 20-year-old memory, so let's just say that, you know, we are talking just in LA, age 28, you know, so physique was different, obviously younger, fitter, stronger, better looking, lots of hair. So I found my Englishness, my voice. If I walked into a freaking newsagents or a diner, or, you know, Denny's or wherever, or just the merest thing, getting into a cab, the minute they hear your accent, they're like, oh, you're English. Or they might say, are you German or Australian? But mostly they get the British accent. And not only did it work in my favour, it got me employed. It got me employed within the first 2 days, 3 days. Illegally employed, without a visa, but employed. And it got me through doors. It got me through doors, and realising the potency of being English and therefore being a novelty, I made my voice even more posh. So I rather than dropping my T's, I started to, you know, enunciate my T's and speak even more properly and clearly. Not to the, you know, what we call RP, received pronunciation like the fucking Queen. Didn't go that far, like a plum in my throat, plum in my mouth, but I did use my Englishness to get ahead, 100%, every day. And they liked it. So yeah.
It's so weird though hearing that, because I've never left the country. So it's hard for me to sort of like relate to that. However, being part of the gaming community, you do talk to a lot of people around the world.
That's a point. That's a point.
And I'm going to tell you this quick story because I think it's hilarious.
Let me hear it.
There's this one time, there must have been probably about 8 of us on the server just all talking. And it's going to sound a bit one of them dodgy jokes where you've got an Englishman, an Irishman, and a Scotsman. However, there was a handful of Englishmen, an Irishman, a Romanian, and a German.
Wow.
And we're all having a natter, and the Romanian fella was always apologising for how bad his English was, and his English was brilliant. Absolutely spot on. Couldn't fault him. And it's like, mate, like, your English is pucker, like,
yeah.
I wouldn't know where to start talking Romanian, so like, you know, not apologising on the head sort of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
The German guy, again, impeccable English, really good. But he had obviously like the German accent. It was a bit like almost robotic, almost, with the accent.
Yeah, they've got a certain clip tone.
And then obviously the Irish fella sitting there nattering away. And I'll be honest with you, the first couple of months of talking to the Irish fella, I couldn't understand a word the fuck I said.
It can be
not a word.
It can be really bloody
proper thick Irish accent. And I remember this German guy turning around to him and going, "Look here, I don't mean to be rude, but is there any chance you can talk English?" to the Irish guy.
What, so a German to an Irishman said that? Oh.
That was a polite version. I won't tell you the precise words he said, because I don't want to get you in trouble with anyone.
No,
but it was the most funniest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's like,
the irony
for months.
The irony.
Every single time he logged in, it was like, "Hey, Mark, talk English today."
Talk English today. Oh God, oh no. Hang on, let me get this up. Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Um, 375 part 2. And we're live, we're back on Instagram. Sorry about that, but the time does run out every hour. My apologies. Let's get Lee back on to finish this. He was telling me a funny joke about the gaming community. Let's see where he was. Let's get you back on, Lee. Let's get him back on. We're back. Yeah, sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you. That's so funny. So the irony that a German, the German, is saying to an Irishman to clean up your act by speaking some English.
That's it was hilarious.
What game were you playing?
Back then we used to play a bit of everything, but it was more of the community. It's more of like the people we was hanging around with rather than what games we were playing, you know?
Okay.
So I mean, we'd all get onto the same sort of server to have a natter, and similar to what we're doing now, just on audio rather than video as well. And back then I was actually helping a friend set up a stream, which actually went quite successful to the point where he got invited from a gaming studio to go and test games out for them and do their conventions and that.
Really?
Probably should have stayed friends with that one.
Yes, yes, it's stuck in that one.
But we fell out quite badly actually, and I've few regrets about it, but such is life. Do you know what I mean?
Man. It happens.
But no, he's been successful with it. So.
Fair play. I didn't know until relatively recently how, again, it shows how ignorant I am. That it's so huge, the gaming community, and it's, you know, without being weird, there's some really like I discovered a couple of twin sisters called the Botez sisters who play chess online, and they are, without being inappropriate, they are a smoke show. Let's just say these two sisters are extremely attractive, and they know they're attractive from a marketing point of view, but what they actually are, they are legitimate, I mean legitimate grandmasters. They are like, they play like someone's playing Call of Duty or whatever, and these people are playing like the world champion in chess. So if you can imagine, one of them is called Alexander, I think, but it's just incredibly, I mean, they're about 25, so they're not kids. Long story short, they're on Twitch, and I don't know, I'm waving to, but welcome. And Destiny, one of the these very prolific, you know, very very ubiquitous Twitch streamers, there was entire streams on who can date one of these girls, you know, and you know they're very 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 attractive, annoyingly super intelligent, and you know, I can't play chess for toffee, but all of a sudden I'm sat in my kitchen, it's really addictive, and I realised how addictive Twitch is and the gaming community. And I wanted to tell you, Lee, because I thought what I wanted to say was never say never, because here I am, you know, completely, you know, I've got no clue about, you know, this more than anyone. You know, I still haven't learned how to do embedded video. I've got my iPad that I'm not using, which I need to, because that, anyway, the point is, I'm realising that the Twitch and the game community is massive. It's massive.
Oh, huge.
And these kids make money. In fact, I shouldn't call them kids, because they're 25 to 35. They're far from kids, and they're making millions, Lee. Literally millions.
Yeah.
From doing this.
There's a fella that I follow that actually, he hasn't had a normal job now for probably about 10 to 12 years.
Wow.
And he's older than me.
Wow.
And he makes a living. Like he takes his family all over the world.
Fair play. And his conventions.
Bought his own property, upgraded his own property.
Really?
Like to a bigger property, you know, and yeah, like he's got the top notch of everything.
It's mind-blowing.
And it's all off the power of Twitch.
Well, this is it. I mean, is it, you know, when people talk about ad revenue, I mean, this just shows my lack of understanding. What does that even mean? Like, so-and-so's getting ad revenue because I've got 250,000 subs now, so I'm getting YouTube ad revenue. I'm like, what is that?
So you see when you watch a YouTube video and an advert will come on, they'll get X amount. It'll be like a fraction of a pence per view. Right. But obviously, if they're getting 250,000 views,
right,
that fraction of a pence soon adds up.
Grows. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So if you did a video,
so that's what it means by ad revenue.
Right. So if Lee Spruceton was playing, excuse my ignorance, I'm just going to say Call of Duty because at least I've heard of that, right? So you're playing Call of Duty. You're doing a really good stream with someone else, and it gets 500,000 views, and I don't know, top of my head, Ford or Toyota or whatever, Adidas, you know, they do an advert, and it's in that stream, and it's going to give you, like you say, half a pence or something, or quarter of a pence, but you've got 500,000 views, all of a sudden you've got tens of thousands of pounds in your account, haven't you? Is that literally how it works? Christ.
Pretty much.
It's amazing.
And the thing is, like, companies will reach out as well saying, like, can you wear this? Can you have that in the background?
Right.
Almost like sponsorship deals as well. So you get money through that. You'll get, so say like Amazon links.
Right.
So like if someone uses your link, you'll get X amount back. It could be via Amazon credit. It could be in form of a check.
Right.
Who knows? That's between you and whoever. But there's so many ways to generate money. Then you've got obviously like your Patreon side of things. Yes. If you want to go down that road.
I've seen that. Patreon,
yeah, I've seen that. There's so many things. I mean, my stream's pretty basic at the moment. All I'm doing is just putting in the hours at the moment. I've got to work on a few things this week.
Okay.
But so I give myself a bit of a timetable in terms of what I want to achieve by what date.
Okay.
It just coincides with the game that I play in the new season that starts on mid-July. So.
And what game are you playing? What do you specialise in?
My main game that I play is called Path of Exile. The genre of game is called like a dungeon crawler.
Okay.
Where you go around looking for loot to make your character better, or to improve, or to make a new character later on in the season.
Right.
And there'll be certain mechanics that will change every 3 months.
Really?
So every 3 months the game will start fresh, so you don't have any characters in the new season.
Oh wow.
So you've got to then start again and rebuild it back up again.
Well, that's a good idea, surely, because that creates more of a level playing field, right?
Yeah, and longevity of a game as well.
Yes, because you're starting from scratch. Yeah, that's good.
So I'll generally play that game for like say 2 months, and then I'll have a month break from it. So I'm coming up to my month break now.
Right. And it's called Path of Exile.
So, yeah. It's actually a free-to-play game. Like, you don't have to buy the game.
Okay.
But there's things you can purchase to make the game more manageable.
Right, okay. Wow.
Because it's like a loot-based game, you need space to be able to store said loot, and there's special bags that you can buy to organise your stuff.
Okay.
So now I've probably spent a good couple £100, but in the game. However, I've played this game now for coming up 8 or 9 years.
Really?
So in the grand scheme of things, it's not too much money, do you know what I mean? When you look at it in terms of how many hours I've put into it.
Yeah, right, exactly. God, it's fascinating. So let's say, again, it just proves my ignorance, but I'm genuinely curious. So let's say you're playing with someone and I want to watch. Am I learning techniques by watching you guys play? Is that part of the attraction?
Yeah, definitely. So I had someone from India watch me earlier on.
Right.
I was streaming this morning, and he was asking me questions about a necromancer build now.
Okay, I've heard of that.
In some games you'd have a specific class, and I'd say like a necromancer that sort of raises the dead, like zombies, skeletons and whatnot. It'll be very genetic, but the way this game works is you can make it work 1,000 different ways, and then probably 1,000 different ways after that.
Really?
So it's very, very deep on the learning curve of this game. This is why I love it so much, because every single season that passes, I've always learned a new technique or something that's going to improve how I play it.
Right.
And so I was talking to this guy who's only been playing it for about a year.
Right.
And I was telling him like different methods and different techniques on how he can achieve end game, if you like, a lot sooner, so he can get into like newer content.
Right.
And he was saying that he has trouble with the crafting side of the game, so I was explaining like the best methods of crafting that I believe is the best method of crafting that isn't going to cost you a fortune. So he is just having an hour about that.
Do you get rewarded? So say if you're, I mean, I'm just imagining it. Was it English or American? Whoever designs the game, I don't know. But so would the game designers reward you for completion of various stages and growth of characters and like you say, fleshing out? I don't know. You're building worlds or building. I literally don't know. I'm guessing, but so yeah.
With this, they're very clever, the developers, on how they've designed this game specifically. So with every new season, there'll be 42 challenges.
Really?
And through X amount of parts, so say like the first reward will be on like once you've completed 11 challenges, etc., etc. By the time you've completed, say, 36 challenges, you would have got all the unlocks, and most of them are going to be cosmetic, whether it's like a base, because you have like your own hideout, which is your own personal space. So if you're doing a trade with another player, you'll invite them to a party, they'll visit you in your hideout so you can then do the transaction.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's like I've got my own hideout in the game, and my friends have their own hideouts, and we can go and visit each other. If we want to play together, then you visit whoever the party leader is in their hideout, and then you'll jump into their game that way.
That's fucking deep, mate. That's really cool.
It is such a deep game. But when I started playing it, there was literally just one act to the game. Like the game, what it is now, when I started playing it, there was nothing even spoken about it. Like what the game is today. Like it's grown so much.
It was underground when you came across it then, basically.
Yeah, very much. I actually paid money to get into the alpha.
Oh, really? The alpha developing.
Yeah. Now, beta was free for everybody.
Interesting.
But I wanted to sample it and get into it because it's a type of game that I love.
Right.
So I paid, I think it was £15 so I could get alpha.
Yeah.
And it was so bad. It was awful.
Seriously.
But because I believed in the project, I stuck about.
Yeah, yes.
And this is the most favourite game I've ever played.
You know, you mentioned something then. You believed in it, so you stuck about, right? So longevity, stickability. That's something else I'm learning as I go. Like, there's literally no point in me complaining that, oh my God, I've come to the live stream party too late. You know, I'm 49. And I was telling Doug this in a text, actually, over the weekend, that the reason I got so upset recently was because a lot of panic set in that, you know, here I am at 49, I'm streaming and I feel, Christ, Justin, you know, too little too late, pal. You know, you've missed the boat on life. You're done for, you know. And I'm realizing that with streaming and with the internet and with this technology, a lot of it is right time, right place, right? You know, we've seen this, haven't we? Right, literally.
It is and it isn't. So I've been streaming solid now for about a week, give or take a day either side, yeah?
Okay.
And I'm getting followers daily.
Wow.
I think I've had 32 followers now.
Nice.
Which isn't amazing, but it's not bad either.
No, I was going to say.
Like I say, I've not, but what I've not done is put exposure out there.
Right.
And even without exposure, I've still got followers coming in.
Right. And that's come from you just being in the space, just being...
That's literally just me loading in my game, setting up my Streamlabs and pressing live.
Right.
That's all I'm doing. Right. I'm not doing anything else.
Right.
You know? But when I start putting information out there, when I start putting like my hashtags in,
right,
when I start just joining certain Discord servers, Twitter, etc., tagging the relevant pages in, it's going to generate me more following.
Gotcha.
You know? So, although I do agree with you, right place, right time, you've also got to do the groundwork for the exposure side of it as well. Because without the exposure side of it, who are you exposing yourself to?
Yeah.
You know, there's so many ways to grow a community, whether you're following people on Twitter, whether you're willing to give followers back to receive followers. You know, it all depends on what you're after. Now, I truly am a believer of, I don't mind who watches me. I'd rather have the right audience rather than the right numbers.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay.
And it is because I don't want to be famous. I don't even want to be rich. Money is something that's never ever been important to me.
It's a bad
As long as I've got enough to put food in the cupboard and my bills are paid, it's never really been an issue for me. If I want something, I'll tighten the belt and I'll save.
Well done, Lee.
And if I want something and I don't have the money for it, then I don't have it.
Yeah, that's a really good discipline. I respect that. I respect that. Yeah.
You know, I started off helping other people with streams because of my knowledge in the technical world. And when I say my knowledge, it literally is my knowledge. I'm not educated whatsoever, but I do know a thing or two.
Yeah, I get that impression.
You know, and anything I don't know, I'll quite happily sit down and study or watch YouTube or whatever it is, and I'll take it in, and I'll put what I've learned into practice.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, this is literally where I'm at. I've got a base of a stream, and I'm just enjoying playing my games in front of an audience, you know, and I'm getting used to the whole being in front of the camera. I'm getting used to checking the chat to see if anyone's talked.
Yeah.
And I'm getting used to just being me in front of a camera, in front of a new audience, you know?
Yes.
And I'm enjoying it.
Good for you, man.
I didn't stream over the weekend due to family commitments and a few other bits and pieces, but I missed it. I genuinely missed doing it.
Right.
You know? I think I streamed every single day bar one day last week, and I think I racked up 19 and a half hours of streaming.
Really?
Yeah.
So, sorry, go on.
Go on.
Well,
ask your question.
I'm on Twitch, so I can find you. I've got a Twitch account. I mean, I haven't ever gone on, but I've got a live Twitch account. I can find you on that, couldn't I? Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Cool. Because I find it. Well, you see, the reason I'm interested is because at school, I, believe it or not, was in the chess club and the Dungeons and Dragons club. I really was, and Lord of the Rings, you know. So, but they were just manual, analog, you know, board games, literally board games. But I was bang into that, and this is just a digital, modern expansion of that, isn't it? That's literally it.
This is the thing,
the
gaming industry touches on absolutely everything in the world.
Yeah.
You know, if you like your football, you got your football games.
Right. Yeah.
You've got cricket games, you've got any sport out there's a computer game of it.
Right.
You've got your fantasy games, you've got your simulators, there's everything that covers everything. You know, if you want to be a chef but you can't cook, you can go and cook stuff in a computer game.
That's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
Really?
I've got a virtual reality game where you can be a surgeon.
Stop it.
Oh yeah.
Are you for real?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck.
I'll tell you what, like I say, you let me know when you're coming down to London next.
Yeah.
If you want to stop by,
dude.
I will set up the VR and we'll get you operating on someone. And we'll stream it.
Lee, that'd be brilliant, because I tell you why it hit me the other day, and I should have sent you a personal comment. When you sent me the photograph of your two monitors, you just wave. Oh, there's Andrew. Oh, brilliant. Hey, Andrew.
Evening, Andrew.
Oh,
hope you're well.
That's lovely to see him. But I should have, when I saw your two monitors and just, you know me, I'm straight away I looked beyond your keyboard and I was looking at just the way you had the monitors, and I started to look at the articulation of the arm. You know, I was like, oh, I wonder where he's got that arm from, because I'm into the gear, right? I'm into the equipment, and that's the irony.
Yeah.
That I'm very much the guy, all the gear, no idea. And look, case in point, you know, I've got every nice little tripod going, you know, and these metal clamps, and you know, I've only got 3 of these because I need that, of course. You know, it's just like, and I know why I've done it. I know why I've done it, because it's things to make me happy, you know. And I told Dougie this actually. I said, like these live streams, like I can't stop now, you know. And well, what are we tonight? Episode 375, and I'm painfully aware of how microscopic what I'm doing is. You know, that I'm literally beyond tiny. You know, beyond, like, smaller than, just infinitesimally small. And I know I need to see you face to face, because I know that what this is going to end up being is a channel that cannot lie. You know, that we have discussions like, look at the way you and I have been talking for hours, and we don't sit there with a plan, and we don't sit there, you know, with something that feels very formatted, you know. And I also know that what I need to do is to have embedded video where, like, even on this iPad Pro, I know it's able to do that. I know it's able to do that, that I can be streaming and go, have you guys seen this on YouTube? You know, and screen share that shit. You know, it doesn't matter how many of these I've got. It doesn't matter how many phones I've got. You know, 3 or 4.
No, and going back to a previous conversation we've had before, you've got to sort of bite the bullet, similar to what you're doing with, like, the one-to-one now.
Yeah.
Not have that fear and going, well, worst case scenario is I hit the factory reset button and start afresh.
And it is fear, Lee. You've hit, that's the crux of it, my friend. That's the crux of it. It is fear, because I'm still frightened. I'm still frightened, which is ridiculous, because it's not even like, oh, Justin tried a channel and he failed in front of thousands of people. No, it's this many people. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. And, you know, here I am with all the nice little bits and pieces, you know, and I'm thinking, well, just what am I doing? What am I doing? And I've done this for my literal mental health. This only began.
So, okay. So let's do this into something that you can relate to, and something that you started from scratch and got good at, yeah?
Yeah.
You got on a skateboard. First time you got on it, did you fall?
Absolutely, horrendously, from day one, for months and months and months. Battered myself, yeah. Horrendous injuries.
But you got back on again?
Yes, I did. And then I got really
There's
good.
no different from learning skateboard to learning streaming, to learning your Apple, to learning anything. The same principles are always going to apply. So just follow the same principle.
I mean,
if you fall, get back up.
This is it. I mean, Lee, I've had conversations, like, you know, sort of monologues in my own fucked up head, and this is just how sad I am. I've actually envisioned, like, being around your house, you know, with my gear, going, Lee, how do I get my iPad and these, you know, 3 flagship phones I've got, you know, the greatest offerings from Apple, Samsung and OnePlus, and of course Google soon again. God, I miss it. Just to use the gear, because one thing sure as shit, I'm not running out of stuff to talk about. You know, there's no danger of Mr. Diarrhea Mouth, Mr. Verbose, Justin House actually running out of shit to say. It's patently obvious that, well, I've done this 375 times, whether I'm talking to one person, no people, or dozens of people. You know, and it's no coincidence, as you've said, as Dougie has said, the ones where we're doing this, a live conversation, and it's not constrained by, you know, anyone saying, oh no boys, you can't talk about that. We're just 2 blokes having a fucking chat, and that is refreshing and honest in and of itself. And the fact that, you know, my entire premise for this was the internet, as far as I'm concerned, has got two sides. We've got the evil of the internet, and we've got the wonder of the internet, the literal life-saving, life-changing, life-giving, life-enabling, positive brilliance of the internet.
Of course.
And that is when people go on there and literally help each other. And I don't care how cheesy this sounds, but literally, you know, alter and improve and enhance and affect people to such a degree through the medium of screen. And that's it. That's it. You know, that's it. That's it. Nothing more to give. Just that. Just don't lie. Just don't lie. Okay, we're not. That is it. That's my entire pitch. So what do you do? Well, I don't lie. But what do you offer? The truth. But what do you do? I don't lie. But what do you know what I mean? It's literally, you know.
But what you're after now is the exposure.
Correct.
You know,
yes.
And there's so many ways to go about that, but it's entering into the realms of what Justin's comfortable with.
Right. Because I do watch a lot of so-called truthers, and they're a lot of them ain't.
And it's not even that. Like I say, I mean, you can get your numbers up by doing a number of things.
Right.
You can get views by doing a number of things. And some of it's going to be because they're interested in the truth. They like an honest opinion.
Right.
But a lot of it, over time, is going to be because they relate to Justin. Not because he's honest.
Right.
Not because he talks about phones. Not because of anything. But it's going to be more the character.
Right.
Rather than what you're actually talking about. It's going to be how you carry yourself rather than what you're talking about.
Gotcha.
You know?
Gotcha.
And it does, and again, it's the same with the Twitch streaming. If it launches, it's going to be a case of what I'm bringing to the table, not what game I'm playing.
Right.
Now, there'll be a percentage of people that are going to go, oh, I'm not watching Lee today because he's not playing this game.
Right.
But a lot of people that will stay, if successful, will be because of me,
because of Lee.
Not because of what I'm doing.
This is it.
You
There's loads of phone reviewers out there, but I watch 3 or 4 specifically because I like their personalities. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But when you talk about yourself in that perspective, you don't go, people coming to tune in because of my personality. You have it as people are tuning in because it's about this subject today.
Right.
Quite honestly, right, especially through lockdown, I tuned in because I felt that I could relate to what you were saying on a daily basis, not because of any given subject.
This is what you and Doug have both said to me repeatedly. Justin, when you're going to realise it's fucking you, pal, it's you. You know, and I'm like, no, because I hate myself.
You realise it, but for other people, because this is how you go, I like this person that talks about phones, so I'll listen to what this person says, but not what that person says, because I'm not keen on that person.
Correct. You know as well as I, we can go and get, you know, a Pixel review or an iPhone review off dozens of tech channels, hundreds of tech channels, but there's literally this many tech channels that I go to that are brilliant because of the guy or girl doing it. That's the truth, because I like their quirky personality. I like them. So
I went back and watched a load of my old videos that I made when I started losing weight the first time.
Right.
And we're talking some videos like 6 to 8 years old, I think.
Really?
A lot of videos of me being extremely honest. A lot of videos of me looking extremely unwell.
Right.
A lot of videos of me looking sleepy. A lot of videos of me very upset. And you could, even ones that I wasn't being upset in, you could tell by looking in my eyes that I was suffering.
Right.
Such a hard watch, like for me personally.
Yeah, I bet it was.
You know? And because of the direction I want to go in, I was like, yeah, I should just remove them. But I was like, then I'm lying. I'm sort of taking the truth away of who I was.
The self-curation.
They're not good videos.
Yeah.
There's no good tech in there. There's no gimmicks. It's just me in front of a camera pouring my heart out.
Rightly.
You know? There's a few training videos in there as well that I've done with Andrew.
Nice.
Which I'm proud of, because
good.
it was somebody that was a certain size attempting to make their life better.
Yeah. I said that to you sorry, go on.
Right, boom.
Well, no, I've been retired for 4 years now, but my point is, I said to you, I don't know, a few weeks back that you struck out with Metro, with finding Andrew and Dougie, because between those two, you could have had 24 shit personal trainers. And one thing I can say with extreme confidence after 27 years of teaching, I've met a lot of shit personal trainers. And in terms of sheer commitment, motivation, positivity, consistency, sheer attendance, and just go, Lee, go. Between Andrew and Doug, you struck out. I mean, it's literally a home run. I remember what Andrew was like, just like, and it's the work ethic. But that's what you want. It's the work ethic. You could have wasted 3 years easily by having a nice personal trainer that would have just coddled you.
Yeah. Oh, Lee, you've broken a bead of sweat. Please,
bring it down a notch, Lee. Bring it down a notch.
Here's this nice sugary drink to make you feel better.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, totally.
Let's get you towards diabetes immediately. Yeah, exactly. Fucking insulin. We don't. Yes. But the beauty is, because of that environment, because it's Metroflex, and I'd say this whether Doug or Andrew were online or not, because it's true, because I worked at that gym and I spent enough years at that gym, from 2009 through till, when did I leave? Late 2016. So you struck out, Lee, because you could have gone to half a dozen health clubs, half a dozen gyms, and you would have just gone through various instructors and PTs that just literally weren't worth a wank. And I can speak from experience, and even though I'm out of the game now, my career did span from 1990 till 2017, and that's long enough, 27 years. And yeah, I miss it, and I've had these various discussions with Doug where I get embarrassed because I'm not a bodybuilder anymore, and obviously don't look like a bodybuilder anymore, and then Doug will say to me in private, but you'll always be a bodybuilder. I'm like, yeah, okay. You know what I mean? Because it doesn't go. I know I don't look like one, and I can't get undressed and go, look at this, lots of muscle. Those days are gone. But it hasn't gone in here, and it hasn't gone in here, so...
But what you have is the life of knowledge of what you attain from day dot till, well, even current day, I mean,
still
you talk about it with so much fondness as well.
Yes,
and
very fond.
Whenever you talk about your stories or about describing a certain technique or part of the human anatomy that you like, you start glowing.
Right.
And Dougie and Andrew are both the same. I've had 3 PTs through my journeys. I went to Andrew's gym up in Forest Hill.
Of course.
But that was my first.
That was your baptism
time walking into a gym.
Yeah.
I walked in there, and the team down there, when Andrew owned that gym, were amazing. I remember walking in there, hitting the treadmill, putting it on 10 and just sprinting, and they're going, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, I'm going to lose weight. Fuck this shit, I'm done with this life.
Oh my God.
And they went, listen, I only want to see you in here 15 minutes a session, then I want you out.
Nice.
Yeah? And I'm like, I was like,
that's
who the hell do you think I am, sort of thing?
Sane advice, right?
But they were right. But they were right.
Yeah, that's sane advice.
And this is something that I think that I've always done well. I learn.
Right.
I always learn from other people.
Yeah.
And I might not even talk to you, but I'll be observing and I'll be learning.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and every single time I've asked anybody to help me train, I've observed the individual that I want to talk to.
Yeah.
And I've always thought I was a good reader of people. And as you said, I've lucked out with my PTs.
Yeah, you have lucked out.
But there's a reason for that.
Yeah.
But there's a reason for that.
You're a good observer.
I've studied and I've gone, I can take something what they are selling. So I've bought in.
Yeah.
You know, my first PT was Kryptonite, who was on here earlier, Darren.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I told Dougie this story actually a couple of weeks ago.
Go on.
I remember having a flu jab, going to one of his training sessions, training, and he was like, right, we're doing a seated row on like the machines, yeah?
Yeah.
And he's put the weight on and he goes, I want you to keep going till you can't do any more. And he was counting the reps.
I love it. And
I was like into like 120 reps. And he's going, you should have been finished by now. I'm going, I'm alright.
Yeah.
Going, okay, keep going in. And he's like, no, fucking 200 reps. Like, what the hell? Like, and I felt fine. Like, you're going, right, stop now. Like, you're going, can't stand up, we're going to go over here. And I remember standing up and I blacked out.
Really? Yeah, I was going to say, just like
he thought I died. He's going, he's like, Andrew, what the hell?
I've got
this Lee guy, he's just died on me.
DRA.
And I've got these two Jack guys standing over me going, fella, you alright?
Yeah.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
They're trying to get bananas, sugary drinks. I'm alright.
Blood sugar and blood pressure, probably both at the same time. Oh my God, that's so funny. Well, it's not funny, but it is.
And I've gone, I probably shouldn't have come here today. I've had a flu jab in here.
Yeah.
What the hell, man?
Yeah. Jesus Christ.
Don't be doing any of the stuff that you keep doing, you crazy man.
That's funny. But look at
it was such a funny day.
You look at your tenacity. I mean, one thing that you've done is, you know, we joke about the gym attendee thing, but that was the single greatest challenge, is just being present. You know, because that's frankly where most people go wrong. They just don't do it enough. They don't physically attend themselves.
You again, like when you say like you don't see yourself as a bodybuilder, and again you just described the gym attendee as a joke. I've never seen it as a joke. I see it really inspiring. Like knowing from what happened to you and how long you was laid up for, and how long you've been locked up because of COVID.
Yeah. Yet
you still walk into a gym. Let's face it, handicapped from where you was able-bodied and even beyond able-bodied. I mean, like you was superior in a lot of ways compared to the average Joe.
Yeah.
You're still proving that you can.
Yeah.
Beyond the odds.
Yes.
You know, and I find it truly inspiring. I really do.
Thank you.
And so when you say the whole like gym attendee, it's a bit of a joke. I don't see it as a joke. Like it warms my heart to see them poses. It's like, man, I bitch and moan about like I'm tired or I've got to do this, I've got to do that. But I see that sometimes, and it could be from yourself, it could be from other people. I follow so many people that have got hang-ups of why they can't go to the gym, yet they still turn in.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to be in the gym.
Good.
You know, and if that's making me feel like that, you can bet your bottom dollar it's making other people feel like that as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Because I you know, now, as I know I talk about it a lot because I'm so aware of it, but you know, I'll be 50 in January, and the more I move on in life, I'm thinking actually, if I play my cards very, very, very well, and use modern science, and I'm lucky, and use modern medicine, and use every bit of nutritional knowledge I've got, you know, and a bit more luck as well, maybe I'll get 50 more years. Maybe I'll hit a ton. You know, I'd love to. I really would. I'd really love to. I'd love to have this roll the dice again. And I suffer from the self-loathing, the self-hatred to such a degree. I mean, you know, to say I hate myself is a vast understatement. And I've got to drop that. I've got to drop that, because one thing that makes me feel extremely worthwhile being here is the knowledge that I might help a person. And if that's a person, perhaps it can be 2 or 4 or so on. You know, and that's probably why I got so much out of PTing. And again, I'm aware that as those words tumble out of my pie hole, that I speak those words, I utter those words, I'm cognizant of the fact that it does sound cliched, it does sound cheesy, but it's true. It's true. And that's the thing, I get so much out of knowing that, you know, yes, I'm in pain, yes, my body is broken, yes, I'm permanently disabled, yes, I'm permanently compromised, and yes, I'm a far cry from the, you know, some would say, yes, I'm a spent force, you know, from the whatever I was before, the, you know, the thing I was before, the specimen I was before. Yeah, it's hard. Psychologically, it's hard.
I get that, and I get that more than most, probably, because obviously I've gone from like this skinny, athletic lad, hit adulthood and turned into like this 35 plus stone monster. I mean, and that's how people looked at me, unfortunately. And then within a year, I've shifted
ridiculous
just shy of 20 stone, and then going into year 2, I've hit the 20 stone mark.
Crazy amount.
And now I'm doing like crazy projects with my children, like I said earlier on. You know, tomorrow I'm going to the gym with my 66-year-old father.
Are you?
You
That's
know?
So cool.
Yeah. God, I cannot wait, because he vowed about a year ago, I'm too old for the fucking gym, blah, 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 I'm not doing it. But over the last couple of months, he started lifting the dumbbells indoors, and now he's outgrown them, and he's like,
really?
So, when you go and gym, mate, it's like, so you're thinking about it? He goes, well, I'll give it a bash.
Oh my God, that's so
tomorrow,
cool. That's so cool.
He'll be coming Metroflex with me for the first time tomorrow.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
You know,
isn't that lovely? And see, the minute you said 66, I think, God, what a young father. Because, yeah, I'm always happy and jealous, but in a nice way. I'm being really honest now that anyone that's got a dad, well, a dad and a mum, because I missed both of mine. But that's such a lovely thing to hear. And the other thing popped in my head when you said 66, I thought, actually, your dad could look at Stallone, you know, and Arnold, who are deep in their 70s, and be inspired by them, by men 10 and 12 years older than your father, who are in stunning shape, you know. So that's good, man. That's really fucking good.
This is what I've been trying to drum into, because, I mean, I'll be honest with you, I think he looks amazing for his age. Like, he's always trained. I've always known my dad to train.
Right.
And he keeps telling me, he goes, whether I do it right or wrong, it's something that I've done for myself. I've never learned from anyone. I've just picked them up and done me. And I think my dad looks good, especially for his age.
That's nice, man. It's good.
You know, over the last probably 12 to 15 months, he has put on a bit of a gut, and I know it's something that's pissing him off, but this is why he's doing what he's doing now. But he's got to get it into his head that age is just a number, and there's people that are in worse shapes than he is at the older age that are still pushing.
Right.
So he's got no excuse. All the time he's able-bodied, he's got no excuse.
Yeah, there you go. Right there. And a super motivated son. That's the other thing, that you're going to go as father and son, aren't you? That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Now, the only thing I've got to learn, and this isn't going to be a lesson I'm going to be learning tomorrow, is I'm going to let him kick my ass in the gym tomorrow, because it's something that I used to do when I was younger.
Right.
And it's something I have got to break the habit of, because I really love the way that how I'm training with Dougie at the moment. Like, it's opened my eyes, and I'm not feeling spent the way I used to feel.
No.
Because again, I learned off my dad, and it smashes me to bits. But tomorrow, I just want to go there for him.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's his first day back, and it's almost like a father-son day, almost recapturing something that we used to do.
That's so
time
nice.
Gone by, almost. You know.
That's so nice. That's so nice, man. That's lovely.
So, yeah, looking forward to it. I don't feel I need to do the cardio because I've done the cardio with my daughter today.
There you go. Those 200 metres.
Day one of sprinting, that was crazy. I'd never thought I'd be sprinting again, but there I am in the park doing laps.
That's the other thing, isn't it? That you will simply be around longer for your family. That's statistically a fact. That's, you know, let's be honest. If we're betting men, then you can bet your bottom dollar. But because of the massive transformation, you know, the extreme weight loss, you will simply be attending life longer. Brilliant.
Well, I've got a few personal projects I want to do before certain deadlines. So I want to feel abs before 40.
Right.
That's a target.
Okay.
So the whole running thing with the daughter thing, that's going to be helpful.
Right. I like it. I like it.
And you know, there's a few other targets I'm setting myself. I want to do some of like, you know, like the mud races where you get all the obstacle courses and things like that. I want to do a handful of them as well. Hiking is going to be in my future.
Right.
So I'm planning on doing some sponsored hikes to hopefully contribute to some skin loss surgery.
Nice. Nicely.
But even if it doesn't take off, you know what? It's going to be a life experience at the very least.
Of course. No, of course. You know, I think you saw it the other day. My kidney transplant was 8 years old on Saturday.
That's amazing.
It's crazy, isn't it? You know, I especially when I remember saying this to Doug. I was worried because I saw that there's a very well-known rugby player called Jonah Lomu, very big personality, very big man, you know, very powerful man. He sadly died at the 8-year point after his transplant. And when I saw someone that godlike go after 8 years of a transplant, I thought, oh shit, you know, how will mine do? But you know, it's doing really, really well. And you know, I don't know. It's something about doing all you can for as long as you can to be around for as long as. Do you know what I mean? I'm not even saying it very well. I can't even say it very well, which is quite unlike me. Normally, I'm okay with words, but. Do you ever think you're living on borrowed time, or do you ever imagine that had you not done the changes, not made or revoked the changes you have, that you would have perhaps not been around, or not been around to, you know? Because I kind of feel that now. I think, shit, just whatever you get now is good, mate. Whatever you get now is actually above and beyond what was expected.
If I didn't have that operation when I did, the likelihood of me being able to sit here and talk to you would be very slim.
Right, that's what I'm getting at. Yeah.
I something I believe, and it's something that the doctors was strongly hinting at, shall we say?
Right. Yeah.
They had an estimate, but obviously they can be wrong. Yeah. Normally, if they're wrong, it's sooner. Let's be honest. And it terrified me. Not so much for me myself, but for my kids and my partner. And
he is a great motivator, man. Jesus.
I have. You know what? I never wanted to be a parent.
Did you not?
No. I've never ever dealt with emotions really well at all, whether it's good or bad.
Right. Okay.
It's been an extremely steep learning curve, like since I agreed to have children.
Okay.
I'm very proud to say that both our children that are biologically ours were planned.
Nice.
None of them were an accident. We both agreed that, okay, we're going to try for a child.
Nice.
Both times.
Nicely.
You know?
Nice.
And that's something that I'm very proud to say.
Yeah, good for you.
Because I don't think it's something that happens often anymore.
No, that's just the truth. That's just, whether people admit it or not, that's the reality, isn't it? Of a lot of childbirth. It's just happened, you know. Yeah.
But I mean, my daughter being born especially, it threw me completely over the edge, because that was probably the first time I truly felt scared.
Right.
You know, and it wasn't scared of it was scared of holy shit, like that's a huge responsibility. It's overwhelming.
Yes.
It truly is.
Yes.
You know, and I'll let you in another secret. I'm not ready now.
No.
She's 12 years old.
My late father used to say that to me. He said, "You'll never be ready." That was one of his dying words, actually. Literally hours before he died, he said, "You will never be ready." But never be ready.
But life's about rolling with the punches, right?
Yeah, man.
Regardless of what you're doing.
Yeah. Cheers.
You know, you don't know what's going to happen. We can steer to a certain degree, but
sure.
Things are going to happen. I could be sitting down right now to watch a movie with my partner, for example, but you don't know who's knocking at the door.
No.
You know? So them plans can just change on a sixpence, and it'll be out of your control.
This is the thing. Yeah, that's the thing that the human condition is, that we stupidly fret about things that are way beyond our control, way past our purview. Right. And that's the stupidity, the fickleness of our nature. And the reality is that, as you say, as you rightly say, Lee, control what we can within our remit, within our purview, and everything else. Fucking, you know what, like I can control the weather in the morning? I'm a weatherman? No, it's just not like that.
Of course, I mean, like, so for example, yeah, on, what was the first day you didn't stream on? Was it Wednesday?
Oh, that I didn't stream.
Yeah, because you was adjusting a few things. I'm pretty sure it was a Wednesday.
I think it was Wednesday, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was.
So, I didn't see the post originally.
Right.
To say that you wasn't streaming, so I was checking Instagram, seeing if you was coming on or not. And then I was like, right, so I know like you like the whole fashionably late thing, so it's like, it was now getting like ridiculously late. So what I'd done was check your profile in case I missed the post, and I had.
Right.
I was like, oh, cool, okay, so that's not a problem. I missed the post. I think I remember liking the post, and then I think I put my stream on instead.
Nice.
So I started streaming instead. But on the Friday, I was spent, so I missed the stream altogether. But again, you was probably thinking, right, so Dougie might come on, Lee might come on. But obviously, me having a no-show is quite rare these days.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, you're brilliant.
I felt so spent, you know, so I just didn't turn in because I just felt wrecked. I didn't want to turn in and then like, Lee, do you want to come on? Or, Lee, if you're in chat, like, what do you think to this? And then me not being able to respond. So I was just a no-show because I just didn't have it in me.
No.
Similar to yourself when you don't decide to come on to live, you know, sometimes you just feel a little bit worse for wear, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely, Lee, absolutely.
And that type of thing got out of your realm of control, because my plan was Wednesday evening was to come on to like have a chat with you on here or just watch you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But obviously you having technical issues is out of your control as much as it is mine.
Yes.
So it alters what we're doing on the day to day.
Absolutely. No, well said. It's weird, and we also get that reliance on each other as well. And it's, you know, we're our own harshest critic as well. You know, in terms of what we do, how we perform, and you know, it's it's I've got to get my head round what you've said and what Doug has repeatedly said. You've both said this to me umpteen times. You know, drop the self-hatred, Justin. Drop the self-loathing. Get over that. You know, and just understand that people might want to come on because they actually quite enjoy what you're saying. You know, and or the manner in which I'm saying it.
Yeah, I mean, I know that you dropped Facebook for a reason, but I mean, you did have an audience on Facebook.
I did, and I'm still battling with that. You know, it's ridiculous because I know that if I stream on Facebook tomorrow, they'll all come back on. And I thought to myself, if you can watch me on Facebook, you can watch me on Instagram. And I did it for two reasons, because...
But that's like saying, if you can watch the BBC, why can't you watch Channel 5?
True.
If it's your personal preference, it's your personal preference.
Well, this is it. This is what I'm realising. There's an entire crowd here in Bournemouth, my hometown, that only go on Facebook. And because I'm stubborn, you know, I'm like, no, fuck Facebook, man. Facebook's evil. Well, Facebook owns Instagram as well, so... You know.
And again, though, this is why you got to move away from these handheld devices and get yourself a computer, because you can set one thing up, so you press live and it simultaneously goes to wherever you want it to go to.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Fuck. So if it was a computer and a camera, as opposed to multiple smartphones, that's the way, isn't it?
I would say so, yeah. You can do so much more with them. And you can make it more simple for yourself as well.
Right. This is
and the way you then integrate your phones and things is by using it to keep an eye on your chats. Right. I was going to say this to you actually earlier on. So if you want to see your chats, use one of the phones you're not using to have a second Instagram account to look into the live so you can see the chat that way.
Yes. Yes. I could check it on the OnePlus and see, couldn't I? Fucking hell.
You could.
Oh, God. The thing is...
But it's just, for me, technology is, especially technology today, if you've got it, sometimes it's just about using your imagination on how you want it to work and then Googling to see if it's a thing. Because 9 times out of 10, if you thought it, someone's made it.
Well, this is it. Oh God, Lee, 25 seconds remaining. Do you know how long we've done?
Oh, this could be one of our longest ones.
This is 3 hours and 7 minutes.
Ooh.
Should we say good night? Should we say good night? To be continued.
Was.
To be continued, because I need to eat.
Definitely.
Right, I've got 5 seconds. I'm going to bid you good night, brother.
Have a good evening.
Bid you good night until tomorrow. All right. See you soon. Good night to YouTube. Thank you for this 3 hour, 3 hour marathon. Okay. Big love. Mwah.